Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, 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 alright.
Yes. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you doing today? I like your pink hoodie with black and a heart on it. And you are.
You said what? All right, everybody, welcome back. We
What's
had
poppin'?
a couple of sound adjustments, and they're trying to get prepare this video, and I think they left it in the video mode, and so we should be okay. I just want to double check we're okay. Okay, great. All right, so first of all, let me just start by saying, you guys, hold on, let this train go by. I can't wait till we find our new space. I promise you, I'm tired of the train. I don't know about you, but it's stealing some of my bandwidth. But let me say this real quick. Court Smith had a dope fashion show. For those of you who weren't there, if you, whatever reason you missed it, I'm sure it was a really good reason because I know we all love Court. Really, really dope fashion show. He displayed 3 different lines of brands, his new lines. He had this one Versace style, high-end, high-fashion Gucci, New York, Broadway, high-fashion district, San Francisco line that he came out with that was so cold that you just knew the Migos was gonna come through and buy the whole line. It was so damn cold, and so he just had some really raw stuff. Really has his finger on the pulse. One of the comments that people were making in the audience is that when we saw his line come out, he has his fingers on the pulse of our people, our swag, our culture, the culture that we're giving to the world through hip hop. Often you see companies trying to adopt it, but they don't really own those layers. And Court being a black renaissance, a man who's been through the full gamut of the black experience, and very creative man who's come to the experience. And if you listen to his stories, you can see that pendulum does a 360 swing. It ain't just one side to the other side. He goes all the way around the full side. So this man is well cultured, well exposed, and he provided us with that experience through his clothing line. And so Court Smith, what's so dope about Court Smith is I always, if you had to think about being in the future, and it's fun to play with that space sometimes. And you want to create, what is the African-American look? Now you go buy a dashiki because that's the West African look, or you may go to East Africa and wear something that's very East African. Court is really driving a conversation and a thought around what does African American look like, right? And it's just so dope. And it was so cold. So check this out, y'all. So y'all know I love Adidas. That's my shit. I think I got on some Adidas pants right now. Okay, that's it, just Adidas pants. And so I had to return some items and decide what I wanted to replace it because I just didn't like the cut. So I went to Adidas' most high-end look. White Court shit's better. Like literally, their high-end look is what Court is doing right now. And so I just want to let y'all know he got some of the highest, coldest, progressive, stylish, swag gear. Even his backpacks. I called him, cussing him out like, "Hey man, where's my backpack at, bro? I want to buy a backpack. I'm really getting sensitive about my backpacks." But brought me, I brought a few pieces myself. And I don't even wear them little shorter shorts because, I'm old school. Our shorts used to go almost down to our calves and shit. Now shorts are starting to get into the thigh area. I'm starting to feel like somebody else is I don't know who's designing these clothes. But that's the new look now, right? And he somehow put a manly black swag to the point I bought a pair of those. Yes, I did. I might let them hang a little low off my butt so they can cover some of my legs. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go too high in the thigh. That may make me feel a little uncomfortable. But yo, man, your shit's tight, bro.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate
and those y'all who missed it, seriously, y'all missed. And the art, the way that he showed up as a black designer, man, you guys got to go to stuff like this. If you guys want to love your culture again, when next time Court has a show, hey man, line up outside like a Starbucks when it first opened, and go see his shit.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, it was tight. Also, I want to acknowledge a sister. I've been a sister there who owns a makeup brand by the name of Glow. She said she just announced that she just got into Nordstrom's.
That's crazy.
She's in class. Sister was sweet. She was wonderful. She rocked her brand. When I mean rocked her brand, is like, sometimes when you own a brand, you should look like the brand of the products or services you try to provide. If she walked into her room, you would instantly know she's leading something. Because she was like just well polished. I'm talking about like fly as all want to, very sweet personality. Like I'm talking about, she was very welcoming. We had a cool conversation about class, but we got some cool folks in there. Hopefully I'll get a chance to hook her with the brother and sister who's down in who's in class, who are down in LA, who has a brand that just hit Walmart. And so, because I think black folks who are producing makeup, and of course Shabisha comes from Sephora world, moving products from concept to the market. So this is a big circle of people who are producing products, as well as Veronica. Oh, I tried Veronica's cream, the one she brought us. Hey, y'all.
It's good.
That shit's like the new version of cocoa butter, man.
It's good.
That shit's tight as hell. And first of all, it's real light, so you think it's nothing in there almost. And then, and you go to dip your finger, you think you're about to go into something soft, but it's like
You gotta scrape it with your fingernail.
Yeah, scrape it
And then,
off.
yeah, it's
but
good.
it spreads, and it's really rich, man. It reminds me of a modern version of the old school cocoa butter.
Yeah, but
a
it's
modern
not thick.
version.
It
But
doesn't sit on you. It almost disappears over
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
man.
it's dope.
Yeah. So Veronica, shout out to your cream. I was like, I'm known for not oiling my legs because I'm from that old school. We're gonna be rough about what we do. But then I was like, I'm gonna try this cream real quick and stuff. I didn't know my legs was that brown until I put the cream on it.
Ashy as hell.
Yeah, I was so ashy. I thought I was light skinned. Anyway, so
Josh, did you try some? Did you try some of it?
Josh is probably black. I'm telling you, if he put on that cream, he probably gonna get some color. So anyway, sorry, Josh, you Jewish, you're close. Okay, anyway, so I just want to send out a shout out to all the folks who are doing amazing things. I also want to send a shout out to Charlize. Had a dope conversation at the end of the month. News came back. I'm really proud. First of all, let me just say this. If anybody ever become discouraged because you're watching this horrible news and you see all these horrible stories or bad things or bad performances from black folks, which is still racist as hell, just know there's some amazing black people out of this world. It's amazing. And there's some amazing black people in this class. And just to hear some of the thoughts that were flowing back and forth, and I just want to give high compliments to Charlize. She was just really sitting in her seat and just driving that vehicle. So I just want to say thank you, Charlize, for filling in. Supertone was, out on the world tour with his family, so that's how he gets down sometimes. But just want to say thank you, and it just was just to hear how many amazing people that we have surrounding us in our class. It's insane. It's insane.
True that.
Another thing too is I want to talk about the retreat. On the retreat, and I'm going to get into this in a second. Listen, if you don't take the vaccine, you're going to have to wear a mask. And the reason for that is because we're getting more and more information on the back end. I don't want to put people's family in danger. I don't really care if you don't want to get, hopefully you do get the shot, but like if you're a little older or a little overweight, I'm talking about just even a little overweight, or pre-health conditions, or you don't get often checkups, you don't know what kind of condition you're in, hopefully you are thinking about the shot. But if you come on a retreat and you haven't taken the shot, I'm going to ask you to wear a mask because I have to protect you. I just got to protect you. In the end, it's like, and it's not really you I'm worried about. There's some weird stuff happening right now, and I want to make sure that when you go back home to friends and families, because I think in the black community, it's going to take a minute for us to get the shot. And because of that, we're becoming like a freeway vehicle for the virus. And it's starting to spread really fast locally. And so I want to make sure that folks, when they go back home, they're safe. Their family's safe, right? And I want you to come into the retreat having a great time and leave the retreat having a great time. let me share this. So Shabisha's not here today. Shabisha on Friday hadn't really been around. We don't, most Fight Team Media is working so much. We're not around a lot of people. And she went to do an interview in the field, and she was outdoors, distance and everything. I think she even wore a mask outdoors. But she caught COVID. We try to trace who was somebody that you may have shared something. I mean, I don't know if Shabisha don't want to tell me everything, you understand me? But what she said, there was nobody she was close to as far as we should know publicly. And Nanya.
She was close to Nanya.
You know what I'm saying? I'm being real sloppy right now, no, but she didn't say anything. But but she said she went home. Now, mind you, she had the shot. She has a shot. So she called me and said, no, I went home on Friday. I was kind of tired. I ended up sleeping almost the whole weekend. And then feel like somebody beat me up in my sleep. She goes, and I just keep sleeping. And I go, I think you probably should get the test. She said, yeah, I think I'm going to do that myself. So test came back positive. She has COVID. If she hadn't had the shot, we might be sending her warm thoughts at a hospital. I think the confusion around COVID is that the shot, and this is why communication is going to get more people fucked up than they realize. We think the shot is a wall to COVID. The shot is only a wall to death. You still catch COVID. You just go through like a bad cold, but you'll be here on the other end as long as you're not already super fragile, right? But without the shot, then it's a chance you may even go to the hospital or even go further than that. And so just for those of you who are like, well, I know people getting sick and they got the shot. Yeah, that's going to happen. And for those of us who I'm trying to, like COVID, we're going to have to live with COVID at some point. It's going to be a way of life. But for those of us who are vulnerable, that way of life may not be in their favor. I received the shot 3 months ago, and I haven't changed colors, right? My skin ain't peeling, and I'm still not eating green peas. I don't give a fuck what happens. I'm not eating green peas. And so just letting you know, those of you thinking that you're going to turn into something else. Now, if I could have turned into the Hulk, I would have took that, but I couldn't.
That's HGH.
And then here's the other thing. I want to share another thought too. So, what's his name over Amazon? What's his name?
Bezos.
Jeff Bezos he went to his meeting and a group of his top management team worked all night to make a decision. So, Jeff Bezos went home that night, came back to the office and said, nah, I changed my mind. I know we all decided this way, but I decided to go the other way. So let's just get the whole team revved up to go in a different direction. So the person's like, but you spent the whole night, the team and everything, committed to this idea, and now you're going to shift directions. And he said, his response was this: I am more committed to truth than consistency. I am more committed to truth than consistency. Why am I telling you this story? A lot of times, black people think that when something's inconsistent, it's no longer the truth. Truth is inconsistent. This is why when the information is coming down about the bias, about the vaccines and what's going on with COVID, and it seems like information is just all over the place, your brain has to realize that inconsistency is part of the process. Because as we learn more truths, we have to contradict our previous thoughts. Like even us up here, right? You may see me today, and let's say for some reason you meet a beautiful woman from another, or a beautiful man from another country, fly out, come back 2 years later, and you're like, hey, this class changed because we learned new truths. We walk in our truths as we know them now, but it doesn't mean don't look for consistency as a form of truth, right? It's almost like I was talking to somebody the other day. They're trying to tell me how the world will be 20, 30 years from now. And I said, only your brain can do that. Your brain sees the world as a clean, neat A, B, C, D, then this happened, then that happened, then this happened, and then we're done. Your brain cannot see chaos, inconsistent sequences, unpredictable events, inconsistent behavior, changes. Your brain can't process that long term. Like they were saying this idea of like if you're playing pool and you wanted to predict what it's going to take for you to hit the cue ball to knock the one in, you could pretty much figure that out. You can almost do math, whatever. Now, if you decide you want to do, if what it's going to take to hit the number one ball to impact number two, you could do it, but it's a lot of math. Now, when we get to 1, 2, and 3, it's going to become really complex. How close are human beings standing to the table? What is the temperature of the room? How high is the ceilings? What kind of air is flowing through the room, right? And if you want to figure out how to make all 9 balls fall in, you got to calculate too, like where is the moon setting at? Where is the level of calculations is ridiculous. There's so many variables and variances, right? And so when we try to rationalize a lot of things like global things, Mashama says it best. If you think you understand the world, that's why you can't understand the world.
It reminds me of in the 1800s, they had hired all the best engineers in New York to come up with a concept for New York, what would New York look like in 100 years. It was the 1800s at the time. And so their conclusion was that the population would be so saturated with horse manure that the city couldn't function because they couldn't see what innovations came up. They didn't know. So they think it's going to be horse shit everywhere on the streets because the population will be so overgrown that will be the problem.
Yeah.
And that's why that statement's real.
Yeah, it's almost like we don't like when you see a story like Hitler in hindsight, don't think you can predict a Hitler moving forward because there's so many things that could have went wrong that Hitler could have never became Hitler. So many things had to go perfectly right for that story to unfold like that. We've probably had thousands to millions of possible Hitlers in our lifetime. I mean, in the last 200 or 300 years. But it required a perfect sequence of events. So just because you learn the sequence backwards, don't mean you understand the sequence going forward. And that's very, very important because when we analyze the world, we think we understand this. Because one of the things, like I was talking to this one dude this week, and he's trying to hit me with conspiracies of why people created COVID to hurt us all, even their own. And he started throwing out these facts that were unverifiable. But do you realize that for conspiracy to live, I have to give you facts that we can't verify? Were you there on Sunday at 2 a.m. when this man spoke to this one person and they came up with this conclusion? Were you there? Now, how do you know, brother? No one can know that. That's why that's how you keep your conspiracy alive, right? And so, just know your brain cannot see clean sequence like that. Now, let's see. Matt, okay, we talked about math, talked about COVID. I don't know what it is. I figured I wrote something else. My handwriting. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to introduce you guys we're going to kind of go down this path. And this whole year, I've kind of been priming you for this video. This is going to be a 3-minute video I'm about to show you guys. Those of you in class, you can just kind of stand behind Marquita so you can see the video. So it's only 3 minutes. So if your hips are hurting or you worked out too hard, because I know that's what Shakina going to be like, I worked out all night. I don't know if I can stand on 3 minutes. But anyway, if you guys stand behind Marquita, but those of you online, we're going to play this video for you. Stop what you're doing for at least 3 minutes because this is going to be a pivotal video that you're going to witness. And this class is going to get really, really deep. But I'm going to help you. The lesson you're going to learn today, you're not going to be able to become this person right away. This is something I'm going to introduce you to that's where you want to evolve into. Becoming an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur as far as the mindset, you can't adopt this mindset and just be. You have to evolve into this mindset. Part of it is learning it, and then the other part of it is experiencing it. And certain ideas of where you want to grow and become, there are certain ideas you need to understand, well, this is where I want to go. Now, where you are today, you have to see yourself as perfect. Where I'm about to take you now, no matter how you see yourself, after how you see where you are as opposed to where you want to be, you are perfect. If you can't see yourself as perfect, you can't change. It's really that simple. If you can't learn to love yourself as you are, your chances of changing is close to none. You will be literally caught up in a tornado of thoughts that will keep you in the same place for years to come. It's a form of entrapment. So I'm going to put on this video, and once this video is over, we're going to come back, and we're going to have a hell of a discussion to this evening. So with that being said, are we queued up? You guys want to go behind Marquita before she cues it up? Make sure you guys are still looking at me. Come on, stand behind Marquita just for a second. It's a 3-minute video.
You can play it on here too.
Oh, yeah, I think I. Well,
Location, location, location. Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Animation by Graham Franks. www.grahamfranks.com. One question that conscious leaders ask themselves over and over is, where am I? To support leaders in locating themselves as they ask the question, where am I? We offer this tool. A line. A simple black line. At any moment, all leaders and all people are either above the line or below the line. Our location describes how we're being with what is occurring in our life right now. If we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. If we are below the line, we are closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Stop right now and simply ask yourself, where am I? In this now moment, am I above the line or below the line? Typically, when people are below the line, they believe certain things about the world. For example, they believe there is not enough. It could be that there's not enough money, or time, or space, or energy, or love. People below the line also believe that their story about the situation is right. People below the line also believe that there is a threat out there. Something or someone is threatening their desire for approval, control, or security. And people below the line see the situation as serious. The deeper below the line they are, the more serious things look. People below the line tend to behave certain ways as well. They tend to cling to an opinion, find fault and blame, gossip, explain, rationalize and justify, get overwhelmed, and avoid conflict or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. When people are above the line, they believe that learning and growing are more important than being right. They believe that all people and circumstances are their allies, here for their growth. They believe that from a distance, almost everything is funny. People above the line live in curiosity, listen deeply, speak unarguably, question all their beliefs, and live a life of play. Now, knowing what you know about being above or below the line, where are you? One thing to know as you consider this question. We are hardwired to go below the line. Literally, our brain is programmed to perceive threat, and when it does, a chemical cocktail courses through our veins, and we go below the line. This reaction was designed to help us survive in the presence of a real threat to our physical survival. An issue for modern-day leaders is that often our brains can't tell the difference between a threat to our physical survival and a threat to our ego or identity. We react and get defensive when we experience a threat to our ego. So in many ways, being below the line is natural and normal. But when we are below the line, we're not in a state, literally brain state, of high creativity, collaboration, innovation, and relational connection. We're simply trying to survive. Leaders today can't thrive if they're in survival mode. So the first activity of conscious leadership is location, location, location. In this now moment, where am I? Telling ourselves and others the truth about our current location begins the great conversation.
Okay, everybody. Let's go. I need my defensive slide up. Okay, give me 1 second. We're gonna get this back up online and get the defensive slide. Let me know when my defensive slide's ready. You can make me a Michael 430 this slide if you want to. Back? Are we back yet? One person, just let one person do it or something, or? We okay yet? Give me 1 second. What's happening so I can know to help out?
So right now, the slides, when we hit the button to switch it, it's not switching. And we've launched Companion and we've loaded all the slides into the ATEM.
Just do it manually.
So we clicked it manually and it isn't responding.
No, I'm gonna just have to add it, feed it into eCam. Don't worry, I just need a second.
This one's, I need my slides. So as soon as I get my slides, we'll keep going. I just want to make sure you guys can follow along. Okay, all right. So I want to go over the slides we just witnessed, and I want to take one at a time. This is critical. So before we get into this, there's a couple of different angles here that we have to think about. They call it above the line, below the line. Some people can call it fear versus trust. For entrepreneurs, I think the better way of phrasing it is offensive thinking versus defensive thinking. So in this class, I've highlighted for 4 or 5 years, as a culture, we're deeply focused on defensive thinking. This is why when you're in a circle with a group of black people and say, well, what's the solutions? Or what should I do for a business? Or how do I solve this crime issue? Or how do I change our communities? We can easily tell you what's wrong, but we don't have the same amount of data, if not more, for what we can do to solve the problem. I don't know about you, but I've seen a constant deterioration in effective leadership in our community. Not leadership for jobs or for businesses, but I'm talking about for just community overall, right? And you've seen also an attack on leadership thinking, offensive thinking, right? And so I want to go over a couple of highlights in the video to make sure that we're in alignment. So defensive thinking covers these subjects. 1, committed to being right. As you guys know, most discussions and most debates is based upon, like black people debate all the time, but a debate is based upon the idea of who's right, who's wrong. We often argue because we have somebody wants to be right, right? I promise you, if we remove arguments from our community alone, it'll probably take down the noise in our community by like 30, 40%. Because the majority, if you live in a hood and you just sit on a porch, you're going to hear arguments. Because there's always somebody trying to argue about who's right or who's wrong. Closed. This is what I believe in. This is just who I am. Respect me for being who I am. This is what I believe. Even when you try to talk to people and try to change them, I don't know about changing. This is how I've always been. And then we tell this beautiful story for it, right? Scarcity. You don't have enough. Get the scarcity mindset. Need more. And we have stories about scarcity. Well, only reason I'm like this is because I didn't have, and the reason I'm like that now, even though I have enough to take care of myself, because when I was younger, I did not have. And so you go through life, I got to always make sure I get mine, you get yours. I need more. Matter of fact, I need to keep making more, because what if I may possibly run out one day, right? Like we always feel like we just can't have enough. External threat. the white man, the people, they, the system, the corporate fat cats, whatever you want to come up with. There's the men, women, straight, gays. We always have some of they. They are always threatening us, right? Something or someone is threatening their approval. Someone is threatening your approval. Black Lives Matter. Control. They don't let us control our community. Security. Police. Oh my God, the police. Oh my God, there's always somebody. And this can get deeper. This can get way more finer. I'm going really big, high level. I can take this way further. You also see situations as being serious. A matter of fact, the deeper below the line, people are more. People are the more they see. Oh, okay. The deeper below the line, people are more likely to see things as being serious. This is poorly written. The deeper you go below the line, the more likely people see things serious. Mm-hmm. I remember telling Shakina a long time ago, I said, have you ever noticed that people in the hood always, man, this shit's serious. Everything's serious.
Everything's
man, the other
serious.
day, man, somebody came, that shit was serious. Or you know what, I'm gonna bring her some help because this shit's serious. I need to talk to him because this is serious. Everything is serious. Man, you know what happened? I had to pay these taxes. No, seriously, this is serious. Look, you know what? Don't play with me because I'm not that kind of person. This is serious. Don't even cap on me. I'm serious. It's this a very, very rigidity around being serious. They cling to their opinions. You have your opinion, I have my opinion. This is all defensive thinking. As you hear this, it's not only common, but we're almost a level deeper than even common. You focus on fault and blame. Whose fault was it? Who should I blame? This went wrong. Whose fault was it? When you watch the news, that's all they tell you all day long. This happened. Whose fault was it? And who should we blame? Other thing, gossip. Gossip is when you talk about people, but you can't say it in their face. See, if I talk about court and with the intent of like hashing out an idea to go talk to court, that's one thing. But if I'm talking about court and I'm never going to tell court, and I'm like, yeah, court did this. Yeah, he did what? Yeah, he did this. And then I'm done with it. That's defensive thinking. Rationalizing and justifying. So you're in a defensive space and you're always rationalizing it and justifying it as opposed to taking radical responsibility. Well, I did this, but it was because this happened. And at the end of the day, if you really think about it, historically, this is always kind of, so at the end of the day, you gotta see, it's really justified, right? You're always overwhelmed. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I had such a long day. Oh my God. Oh, just everything. Oh my God, how was your day? Just so much, man. I'm just so tired. Today was just so. Avoid or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. Meaning, you know what? I don't want to deal with no conflict. At the end of the day, I just want to move forward. Or, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I can fuck shit up all the time. I don't give a fuck. That's defensive thinking. I'm sure you guys, as you guys are hearing this, and mind you, we're going to go deeper and deeper and kind of layer deep into these subjects throughout the year. But I'm introducing this subject as a broad. Now let's talk about positive thinking. Positive thinking. Learning and growing is more important than being right. So instead of you arguing with people, so for example, me and Pastor Chris and a third party were in a discussion. And it had this brother on the phone that was highly interested in being right. And I told the brother, hey, excuse me, brother, I'm sorry. I didn't know you wanted to debate me because I don't have any interest in debating you. Like, if you're not coming for my money and my family, then I'm not sure what I'm fighting you for. I don't get it. What would be my motivation? We can exchange ideas, and we can sit back and take those ideas and just sit with them. But and so he kept getting frustrated, and at some point I asked him, can I ask you why you're being so defensive, brother? I never said anything to you yet. I don't even know why you're defensive. I haven't even formed an argument. I don't do this. I don't debate to be right. So then me and Chris started to talk in front of him, and Chris started to show the levels of just curiosity. And me and Chris is disagreeing with each other, but it was this peaceful, smooth flow. Well, but what about this? What have you thought about this? I don't know. Well, could it possibly be this? And this is how me and Chris is talking. And the guy watched us talk in this very fluent, smooth, curiosity space. And he realized, oh, I was out of pocket. Right? He wasn't out of pocket. He was in a defensive mindset. Me and Chris was talking from an offensive mindset. If you watch me and Chris talk, we were flowing like this, and ideas was popping out of the flow, right? It wasn't he was right, I was right. It was this flow that we had that was just producing these seeds of ideas, right? When the other guy was talking to me with the space of right, wrong, all he was doing was just smothering the relationship and creating and separating our relationship. And so a lot of times when you collaborate with people in industry, friends, family, children, trying to be right is why you can't collaborate, because you're in a defensive mindset as opposed to being curious and not trying to be right. Like, okay, this is what I believe, this is what I feel, but could the opposite be true? Can you accept the opposite could be true, and could you accept that both of you guys could be right and wrong at the same time? And let the creativity come from that. That's why they call it trust. Can you trust that process? Third one, next one, number 2. All people are your allies and are here for your growth. All people, not black people that you love, not your people that you want to snap your fingers behind, not people who share the same similarities. Opposition, people who make sense, people who don't make sense. People who are funny, people who are angry. They are all here for your growth. If you could really, I know y'all hear what I said, but y'all know y'all can't feel it.
So
I know
true.
y'all lying. I know
So
if y'all say y'all can really feel this, y'all lying. I'm saying when something irritates you, your brain goes into, how can I grow from this? When something makes you happy, how can I grow from this? When somebody, like I don't really care about hanging around earthly people, but how can I grow from this? Like, how can you grow from everybody, everything that you come into contact with? If you learn that form of thinking, then everybody's your fuel. If you don't learn that form of thinking, then some people drain you and only a few people fuel you, and that's why you're running around here almost on empty. When you learn to see everybody as fuel, I don't think you understand who you'll become. You own that. You own that control. Others don't own that control. That's going to change the desire to be right when you see everybody's valuable. Even when somebody's wrong in your mind, you're like, this could be fuel. Give me more. This is going to spark your curiosity. Because even if you don't like what this person is saying, what is it drumming? What is it producing in you, and what does it help expand, grow, or evolve in you?
Hey, what's dope about this is at some point in time, you're going to get to a point when somebody triggers you, you're going to slow down your thinking enough to say, you know what, shit, this is going to make me better. In the moment. I don't know the outcome of what's going to happen right now, but I know this opportunity now, it's going to make me better. And you almost smile like, all right, well, let's dance then. Let's go. Whatever we're going to do, let's do it. But it's not, you don't look at them as an adversary. You look at them as somebody who you're sparring, who's training you to be the best you could be. I mean, this comes from this is more spiritual than it is business. But it translates into business because it makes you an amazing business person. Because then your poise and your stoicism remains at a certain level at all times, and people don't know what you're thinking. You may be furious inside and think, okay, yep, I can see how you can feel that way, but hold on. You ain't never experienced no shit like this before, or you ain't have enough reps in this type of situation, so this is good. Let's practice. And that's like, now you're looking at an ally. You're looking at somebody who you're training with. And if you look at the whole world that way, through your mistakes, through your failures, through your successes, through everything, like you said, the person you become, you almost look superhero-like. Because it's like, damn, like that happened? and you just kept it pushing, or you laughed and you worked your way out the situation because you're no longer thinking about right, wrong, like your womanhood or your manhood or none of that shit. You're looking at outcome and integrity and win-win. That's it.
So this kind of mindset is necessary. Well, we'll keep going. The next one is, from a distance, almost everything is funny. Let me say this again. I know this is going to be the hardest. Well, this is one of the hardest ones. From a distance, almost everything is funny. The reason the ability to play, smile, or see the humor in things is important, because for you, it allows you to move. It allows you to think, and it helps you solve problems. In our office, we keep humor. We force humor. Like me and Mashama started off with, Mashama will cap on me he's probably capping on me right now by himself. And in our office, we throw jokes around all the time. We're a creative firm. How are you gonna be creative without humor? Do you know there's a rule that says, one, you learn 40% faster from when you're playing. Two, in our creative sessions, we make it playful and comedy and jokes because it increases the rate of creativity, because you bring down the anxiety, the tension, and the stress. But when you're in defense, you think when somebody's joking, it's personalized. So if I said to Shakina, "Oh, look at you with that old funny ass shirt on," in our culture, we laughed at that for years. Now we turn that into, well, what's wrong with my shirt? But what if that hurts her as a person? So we're bringing this fragile conversation because we're in a defensive space. If we was in an offensive space and I'm playing with somebody who's also offensive, all we're going to do is laugh and then take that humor, and it's going to inspire us to show up to the world totally different. The best way to handle uncertainty, like right now, is humor. The brain, the time that you have the time that you are most happy to play with to deal with uncertainty is when you're playing. When you're playing a game, you don't know the outcome, but you're having the time of your life because you're playing. But if that game was turned to serious, for many of us, it'll be the worst time of our lives.
I know you're not a big fan of Tony Robbins, but I remember a long time ago listening to a Tony Robbins thing, and he said something similar to this. He said, any situation you get into that creates conflict, problems, you ask yourself a couple of questions. And one of the questions is, what's funny about this that I haven't noticed? And you may say, nothing's funny, but just what's funny about this that I haven't noticed? And if you can think hard enough to find something that's actually funny, that will create the gateway for you to start looking for solutions and relax, add more bandwidth to yourself.
Like it's like breathing. Some of us don't exhale, we're just inhaling. We're inhaling. Humor is an exhale. And once you exhale, it allows you to show up to incidents and situations totally different. In modern day corporate America, even like there's been meetings where we'll bring toys. We have everybody get up and just walk around the table.
What kind of toys? Wait, hold up. What kind of toys you bring?
I don't know. It depends on what kind of meat. You didn't ask what kind of meat.
Battery operated.
Look at it. But anyway, push this. But we bring toys. We bring toys. We get up and have some time. Have people just walk around the table. We'll play games in a creative meeting. But what I found is those creative meetings, when we came there, we were really, really serious. The seriousness shut down our creativity. We started playing, and the dopest ideas ever came out of our mind. Some of you guys are sitting down like, how can I make my business more creative? What's the most unique thing in the way I can show up? Well, stop being serious all the time. When you're serious all the time, it is destroying you. You have to learn to play. You have to learn to find things funny. You have to learn to joke with people and be joked with. And think about the people who hate to be joked with, social justice. The reason social justice sounds so good to black people is because social justice is a movement of defense, and we're in a defensive mindset. So when social justice lands on your table, it fits perfectly with the mindset that we're operating in. But those who are producing who are successful have to shift to offense. And so that's why when I'm in class for the last year, I'm like, social justice sucks. Social justice sucks. Because I operate from offense. And I'm like, I would never focus on these people are bad, these people are no good, I don't like this. Because as you say no to so many things in the world, no is cutting off options, right? That's what no is, when you just keep using no as your default response. No bad food, no this, no that, no this, no that. And you don't have any yeses. And when you don't have any yeses, before you know, you're a prisoner of your own no's. So in order for you to evolve, you have to at some point have yeses. And so as an offensive person, I'm looking, and mind you, there's times when you should be defensive. Let's say if somebody breaking your house, don't be offensive. Don't be, I wonder what he's here for. right? Like, there's a time and place for that type of mindset.
Like the horror movie with white people. They
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what's that noise?
Yeah, right. Like, nah, we shouldn't. But what I'm arguing is that when you're trying to build, some of us is taking that same defensive mindset right into the office or into our work group or in our collaborations or to our customers, right? And into all these things, to our families. If you just went from defensive to offensive, I used to tell a story, I used to talk about this all the time, that me and Shakira, in the time that we've been together, I think we've had maybe 6 arguments total. In 9, 10 years? 6 arguments total. Our house is offensive. It's offensive. And she says something like, where's that coming from? Curious. Nah, she don't. I'm right, you wrong, shut up. Now, have I been defensive in the house? Of course you have. But that's the rarity, not the dominant behavior, right? Next one, you live in curiosity. You always wonder, but what if? What if?
Man,
What if?
And this is this is also something that will kill lots of arguments and lots of assumptions. Because if you live in curiosity, you never jump into a conclusion. And if you live in curiosity, once you find out the true motives behind things or the true reasons behind things, it's going to shatter all the bullshit assumptions you create to where you don't want to assume anything no more, because you know there's always other alternative thinking. So like, what was the thought process behind that? Or why'd you do that? Or how does that work? Or how'd you get to this point right here? And in your mind, you came up with a story. This happened, this happened, this happened. You're like, well,
Clean
no,
ass sequences.
somebody just dropped me off there. And you're like, oh shit. You always have to be in a space of curiosity in every situation that will allow you to continuously draw in more knowledge. Then you're always you're in a receiving mode at all times. The minute you flip to the other, you cut yourself off. And as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, so much that we don't know. There's so much that we don't know. So if you wait to Hope class to be an open book or just to listen, then you're killing yourself off from 6.5 other days where you can be soaking and absorbing information from people, from potential customers, clients, and everyone around you.
Next one. You learn to listen deeply and speak unarguably. I don't think we, as a people, you got to practice that.
Yeah, I'm still.
Literally, you learn to speak where you don't produce arguments. And you learn to listen deeply. Meaning that you don't just listen to content, you also listen to context. If somebody walks in my office, I need to talk to you. And it's very, very serious. And this is what just happened. Hey, let me ask you a question. Why are you stressed out? What's going on? Why is it so serious? Do you have any other options? Why do you feel that way? Now let's get into the conversation. Why is that important? Because I'm listening beyond just the content. I need to know contextually, why are you saying this? What's your emotional motivation? How are you showing up at the time? How are you fitting into the space? And who are you? And what is your pattern and your way of reflecting that pattern? You guys get where I'm going with that? So at the end of the day, I think she thought you was giving her water. Well, no, I think Cassandra thought she was giving her water. Yeah, she's like, okay, and then you walked away. She's like, oh, what just happened there? Yeah, yeah. Oh, that was hilarious. So listen deeply. Listen deeply is when somebody says something to you and you trigger and you take off. See, the only reason you're triggering when people say something to you because you was in defense when you started listening. When you learn to show from an offensive space, you hear a person can say something that would traditionally trigger somebody, and you'll listen to the whole comment to get the point. Now, when I was being mentored by my mentor, somebody I still will go up to and say, hey, what do you think about this? He never said things the way you should say it, even though he said everything right on time. Many of y'all want the people to help you to say it exactly the way and look exactly the way you want them to look when they say it. Mm-hmm. And if you learn that that's defensive thinking, well, I would have listened to him, but she had, they said, well, when they say this, I can't really hear no more. Listen deeply is I can listen to you and let you finish that whole comment out and go, even if they finish the comment and it still sounds like they're offending you. First of all, they're here to make you better. And the next question is, well, why'd you say that? What makes you want to say that? How do you feel that? And then the next comment might be amazing, but you never get to the amazing because your whole listening process is defense. You have a defense filter that says if you say one motherfucking word I don't want to hear, because I've already framed you as I don't really like you. So just say something I don't want to hear. Just say it. And you got to get cut out of my conversation. I'm going to say no to you. I'm going to cancel you. And guess what? I'm in a house by myself, that little box, the no box, called loneliness, which a lot of Americans right now are suffering from saying no to everything because they're in a defensive mindset. Next one. They question all their beliefs. Y'all heard me say this 1,000 times. When I started 510 Media, I said this simple thing. All my beliefs are up for trial. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about every belief that I have is up for trial. Mm-hmm. And if it can't stand trial, it is designed, I am comfortable with letting it go. Mm-hmm. I didn't say some of them, I didn't say majority of them. All my beliefs. That's the reason I've been able to change so aggressively because I have no loyalty to my beliefs. Mm-hmm. If my belief doesn't show absolute loyalty to me, I have no loyalty to it. Some of y'all have such blind loyalty to beliefs, and when I was born, my mama told me this and this. I've always believed this. I grew up in this kind of house, and I remember when she rocked me to sleep and gave me my favorite piece of candy, she said, always remember it. And I always remember. Man, all that shit's on trial.
Hey, and some of us, the reason why this is going to be so challenging, because some of us will rather die than question our beliefs for whatever reasons. Some of us will rather die than question our beliefs. So you have conflicting emotions because you want success so bad. You want to be successful. You want to scale. You want to be wealthy. You want to build your brands, whatever. But you're only willing to change these things. But these things you ain't going to touch. Those things over here, nope. So whatever we going to do, we got to do it with the shit that's over here. And not realizing that the shit over here is also affecting your business. It's also affecting your success, your wealth, your everything. So it's going to feel like, because I've had to do it. I mean, I was raised by a hardcore Christian black woman from the hood with extreme scarcity. So all those things embedded in me from my mama, like when it's time to question those beliefs, it's going to feel crazy. You're going to feel almost like you're in the face of death. Almost like if you remember the first time you learned how to swim, like pre-swim, like not even, you haven't even stuck your head in the water yet. So the idea of swimming is cool, but like the okay, I want to do this. Like, let me do the nose hold first, or let me just stick my mouth in, like, and just look like I'm swimming, to like the real commitment of putting your head under and holding it felt like death. That's what this shit feels like. But you already lightweight dying. You already there. You just slow. You just dying a slow death.
Amen,
So
brother.
you got to be willing to commit yourself to it and question it. Like, is this working for me? I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm hella woo-woo weird. Everybody know that. But I'll run all my shit through the fire, and if it works for me, then I'm sticking with it. I don't give a shit. When it stops, even if it used to work, when it stops, I'm not doing it no more. Hey, Court, I thought you used to. Nope, it's gone. That shit, I threw it in the garbage. I replaced it with something else, or it stopped working for me. Like, this is a huge one, and this, I think, I'm so passionate about this because we've been doing this for 3 years, and I see so many brilliant people, amazing, intelligent entrepreneurs who are stuck right here. They got all the potential in the world, but they stuck at this one. And they're like, okay, Court, nah, all right, here's the stuff that you can change. And you're like, this shit, you already got this down. Give me the shit in the back. All them 14 things back there. And they're like, no, that's off limits. My dad gave me that, and he's dead. He died when I was 5. My mom gave me, I'm like, all right, well then, what the fuck we supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one too. Live a life of play. Go play, y'all. You gotta learn to play. Play is high. I mean, we talked about humor, but I mean, just reemphasize. You got to. I mean, about things being funny, but you gotta play. Like your greatness comes from playing. You are a different animal when you're playing. If you're always serious, and it's so easy because old corporate America was just serious, and that's why a lot of them are gone.
True.
Like literally, these big companies are integrating play from Facebook, Google, all these big companies, all the new companies are integrating play because they understand. Now some of them got it they learned it early, so they kind of went too far, they kind of offbeat. But what they found is that when human beings are playing, they're thinking on a whole different level. You got to play. Like you getting older and getting stiff. It's like you guys want to play a game where agility is part of the game, but yet you're becoming more and more stiff. And so just play. I'm talking about play. I'm going to add another one here. Get comfortable with sexuality. Look, we're in a weird-ass world. Ain't nobody here an immaculate conception. Right? Nobody was like, I don't think nobody came through Jesus, right? Okay, cool. All right. When you see a beautiful building, a beautiful car, a beautiful person, a beautiful system, a beautiful thought, it's all sexual. Some of us are just too immature to deal with our sexuality because we constantly run away from it. But in 510 Media, we stimulate the sexuality because like Danielle is her designs are very sexual. Not sexual in like porn. That's an elementary understanding of where I'm coming from. When you see Danielle, when Mashama was really deep into it, they display sex. Right? Because that's the part of your body that's helping you produce that creativity. Sex shit is actually, we're in a world that's so defense thinking that if you said something sexy, like if I said, wow, that camera's hella sexy. Oh, shit, it's sexy. Y'all be like, oh, Nana, I don't know about all that. But see, I'm comfortable with that because that's what allows me to produce sexy stuff. I mean, if y'all didn't watch Prince and didn't get it, y'all missed the point. Right? Sex doesn't mean you sleep with everything and everyone and everybody. That's a different conversation. We're talking about, can you see? I mean, if y'all want to be 100% honest, you can't stop your sexual feeling when somebody great looking walks by you. Doesn't mean you get to arousal, but you can't say, oh, I didn't feel nothing. This amazing person just walked by me. I didn't feel a goddamn thing. It's different between I want to sleep with them and I felt something. Your innovation and your creativity comes from a sexual energy. And many of you guys are suppressing it so much that you're almost dead. You're almost as black and white as you can get, or gray.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, learn to see sexiness. And we're not talking about sexualness, like sexually want to sleep with somebody, because it's sexual. learning to see sex in a way of sleeping with somebody, but sexiness in how that shows up in the world and appreciate it. Appreciate your body to have an antenna built into it to tune you into that sexiness. Don't clip your antenna.
Or suppress it so much, or demonize it. Because yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, in my world, it's like that second chakra stuff, right? And that's your creativity is connected to that sexual part of you. So if you demonize that part of you, then you're also demonizing creativity.
That ain't like your quantum brand. I mean, so Hydra spoke to. It was very culturally. It was sexy, but it was more or less. Okay, if I had my choice of words, it gave me a chance to breathe and smile. You see Hydra. Whew, smile. Quantum was straight sexy. That shit was sexual. When the folks walked out in that outfit, you like, that shit got fucking sexual swag. And if you can't see that, don't. Because if you're trying to reproduce, it's different if you just want to be a consumer and then fucking see what you want to see. I see it the 7-Day Adventist next week. But if you're trying to really get down and be a creator of beautiful things in this world, you got to embrace that. We're in a cultural trend where sexuality is a part of our existence, but we want to act like it doesn't exist even though it dominates our lives.
Let's talk about it, especially amongst black people. A lot of other cultures, their culture is built around being comfortable with their sexuality, whatever their cultural norms are. We always, it's so much faux pas and negativity and religious suppression and all this shit that we're taught that we damn near a lot of times don't know what to do. So most people just go below the radar, just quiet about this shit because they don't know how to think, because most people's parents, at least our ages and up, our parents, you didn't even get to talk. Or you got whooping. It was just so secretive and so uber religious that we didn't even know how to embrace our sexuality. But understand this. You got to figure that shit out now, because that is tied to your entrepreneurship journey and your creativity as an entrepreneur.
Man, you gotta be able to see it. Like you design a sexy office. I mean, okay, y'all bid on. Okay, I tell you 2 airlines that are sexy. It's 2 of them. One is Virgin.
Spirit.
I mean, no, Virgin and Southwest. You mean Southwest sexy? Their play is sexy. Mm-hmm. You get on Southwest, the humor, the jokes, the dancing, the play, right? That's a sexy ass energy, right? Virgin is designed sexy. Right? Mm-hmm. Those are 2 businesses displaying sexiness, right? It's like we buy sexy products all the time. When you brought Beats headsets, we all know Beats wasn't the best headsets. Y'all know that. Y'all know the fuck it wasn't. But they was the sexiest headsets. Right? Some of y'all brought a sexy ass iPhone. Is iPhone the best phone? It's probably not. But is it the sexiest one? Yeah.
Nope.
I want y'all to watch how y'all moving in this world. Why are y'all not going outside and driving a Ford Taurus? That shit just ain't sexy. Ain't shit sexy about a Ford Taurus unless I'm 90 and there's a 90 freaky group that likes Ford Tauruses. But for the rest of us, that shit just ain't sexy.
Yeah.
Like y'all don't realize how sexy is it all through your world, and the ones who own it lead it. Yeah. Though the rest of us are still debating, is it okay? Every great artist I know expresses sex through their work, because we're human. It's the only thing that keeps us fucking alive. We take away sex. What the fuck we doing? We just call this genocide. That's the ultimate COVID.
You die off as
like we're about to go. Look, COVID took away our sex. We'd be out here marching. Anyway, let's keep it going. So next point. Next point. So there's nothing she said in the video. She said the brain cannot tell the difference between a threat to our survival and a threat to our ego. You're coming up. I'm gonna call you a second. A threat to our survival and a threat to our ego. So we're learning ego's an enemy. So let me explain to y'all what threat to survival means, and so y'all can see how powerful this is. And I want y'all. This is going to really help you understand where we are and why all this stuff we're talking about is so serious. So let's say we're in the middle of in the woods, and we're walking through the woods in California, and a bear comes out, and that bear is going to chase us, and we take off running at top speed. We probably make it as long as we stay at top speed. And we're running for our life, and our blood is rushed. All the blood is ran to our legs, and we just our hands are shaking because we're running so fast, right? And while we were running, I said, "Can I ask you a deep question? What do you think the chances of you answering that question at that moment?" 0, because your brain is in fight or flight. Fight or flight is necessary. That's how the Homo sapien is here today. Because when it came time to run, our bodies were designed to run and maximize its performance. But all forms of thinking doesn't work. If an animal jumps out the bushes, we don't go, that animal just jumped out the bushes. I wonder what kind of animal that is. We jump about 30 feet and then we analyze, right? Or we get to the car, turn the car on, get down the street, get ourselves calm and say, "You think that was a grass snake?" Like, it don't matter if that snake can catch us or not. We're driving down the street at top speed. Well, why am I saying this? When your ego is being threatened, your brain is running at half mass. So when you're around the people who are thinking offensive and their brain is running at full mass, they may not be more intelligent than you in a normal world. But in this business game, they're running circles around you. And you can't even dissect what's happening to you because your brain is in full survival mode and you're trying to protect your ego. Mm-hmm. Now, why is survival mode an issue? Remember I told you guys that slavery, Jim Crow, and the crack era did a job on us? It put our parents, our family, and our culture in survival mode. Defensive thinking was built in our culture because of the way we had to show up in this country. So by default, black people have been poisoned by our environment to be so defensive. This is why when you go offensive thinking, you stick out like a sore thumb and it doesn't even translate to people around you. 2, you can't even, when you finally start to get the defensive versus offensive thinking, when it starts to really register with you, if, say, Court didn't know anything about this, and me and Court got into an argument, I said, "Court, yo, my man, you being defensive. You want to know how to make somebody more defensive? Say that. If you weaponize this is for you. If you weaponize it to talk to other people, they become more defensive. They take on deeper scarcity or deeper right versus wrong, deeper argumentative. Like all these other negative things that go along with it is going to amplify itself. This is a tool you use to navigate and lead and take people to another level and build your company around and shape the mindset of your environment, right? It's not something that you weaponize to knock people out. To say, I'm offensive, you're being defensive.
Right. Hey, so check this out. If you read *Sapiens*, you realize how long humans have been here on this planet, right? And then as we progress, you realize if you crunch us together, we're really only maybe 6,000 years. We're not that different from the early millions of years ago humans. We're not that different. We haven't evolved that much. So all the tools that they had in terms of their fight or flight, freeze, whatever, I don't give a fuck if we got flying cars now. Our mentality is still similar. Our thought processes are still similar. All the neurons that fire in our brains are still the same. However, we got completely different threats. So if I come up to you and say, "Man, that's an ugly ass shirt," your brain will get the same feelings, reactions, emotions that if it was a bear chasing you.
Yes.
And so you will respond, your IQ will drop, your blood goes to your vital organs, and you're prepared to run like you're running from a bear. And I just said some shit about your shirt. Because the brain isn't in 2021. The neurons and all the things that keep you functioning ain't in 2021. It's still at 10,000 BC. So you got to remember that about yourself. That's why people will rather die. There's some people who rather die than stand up in front of a group of people and speak. Some people will rather die because the feelings are so deadly in their brain and they shake. Like the idea of shaking when getting on stage is like so funny because there's no threats. You're just going and getting on stage. There's no threats, but your body doesn't know that. It thinks it's a lion about to eat you. So we got to understand this statement. The brain cannot tell the difference. It can't. So you have to be the observer in you that reasons with you and be like, hey, so what's the threat here? Self, what's going on? Is there a lion behind me? Oh no, I'm just standing in front of this person and they told me that my shit wasn't good. Is everything okay? Yes, all right, everything's okay. I literally have those conversations with myself, to myself in the moment.
Yeah.
And the person can see me going from frown to like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, it's nothing. it's cool. All right, yeah, keep going.
Yeah. That's no exaggeration. It says also, it's in the same video piece, it says, below the line destroys our creativity. We already discussed that. Collaboration. You know, black people can't work together. Yeah, you're part of the problem too. There's a reason black people are not working well together. See, through collaborate, the fastest way to build wealth, one of the fastest way to build wealth is through collaborations. But one of the reasons we continue to break down collaborations, and this is how bad we know it is. Okay, I remember in the 70s and 60s, we were collaborating because we were in survival mode and we were segregated. So collaboration was a little bit richer. But as we gained access to the outside world, we split more. And we became more divided. And so now when black people have to work together, it's just one argument from being fractured. It's one debate. It's one incident away from being fractured. I'm even seeing it in families. Black families just splintering all over the place because you're just one disagreement, one difference. Me and him can't agree because he's this, I'm this. She said this, he said that, right? We're just that far from ending.
One mistake. And we put that perfectionism we looking for because we're below the line. So you're already at a deficit with that person before you even start doing business. So the minute they fail you in the smallest sense, then I knew it. I told you.
Yep.
And that shit is that is where we have such a struggle. Like there's no grace. There's no you be around some black folks who work for say a white person or a person that's not black, and they'll complain about that person behind their back and be like, shit, I gotta do everything, or man, they don't even know what he's doing. I gotta be, they're always like, okay, I'm saving this place, or I'm here and he don't know what the fuck he's doing, but I'm gonna take care of everything. But a lot of times with our folks, because we've been so in a space where we've hurt each other and when our mentality is hurt, we just waiting for that one thing. Oh, you fucked up. I knew it. I'm out.
Yeah, matter of fact, it's like this. When you let me tell you how this looks when you're in a healthy space with connections. You can have people in your family that you guys have different views, and you know how they show what value they have and what value they don't have. But when you're in this space where you're in a space of defense, you're canceling people. So when they talk about this cancel culture, it's a defensive culture. It's not an offensive culture. Because offensive culture says, hey, we're just going to be different. See, our offensive culture understands that comedians should be able to joke about everything. Mm-hmm. Defensive culture says, nah, that's not funny. We need to cancel you. You made this joke about gays. You made this joke about black people. You made this joke about white people. You made a joke about Asian midgets. Just whatever it is. You thought I was going to leave the Chinese bitches. Me and the Chinese bitches got a conversation going to happen at some point. I'm going to keep bringing them up. So for those of y'all who don't know, I always talk about Chinese midgets. It's been my jokes for years because I don't never see them. But anyway, the point is this. We are quick. It's hard for us to build relationships. And let me tell you about the importance of relationships. Hope was magnified when Court joined me, Marquita, Josh, Danielle, Shabisha, Tone, Charlize, Demondre, Scott, Irk, Monty. I can't do this shit by myself. It was just me by myself. Y'all just be on my couch, and then whatever the couch don't fit, y'all fucked. I can't grow. I only can go so far. Now, with all those people around me, ask me how many times I've been in a big ass beef with them.
Josh put up a finger. The middle one.
Well, Josh, fuck Josh. Everybody else. But that's even me and Josh humor right there. Me and Josh still laugh at everything, even when it's a fuck up at the end. Because it's one of those things where we're gonna go through things together, but it's coming from an offensive space. Where if I was a defensive space, oh, chop, chop, chop. What? No, what? Say it again. You didn't do. Well, I don't think you're good enough. It's a divisive space. Next, it says innovation. The black community is so underdeveloped, it's ridiculous. Black people, let me say this to you real quick. With all the black, so this is how my offensive brain works. I'm gonna share this with you. With COVID causes so much destruction to small black businesses, it's like when the Indians used to burn the ground so new plants can grow. This is the moment of innovation and growth. This is the dawn of a new age. This is the golden era. And many of you guys are going to lose it because you guys are stuck in defensive mode and miss this whole opportunity wave that's coming through. See, when there's huge destruction, next to it follows huge growth. But some of you guys are going to be stuck in destruction even when the growth is happening. That's the difference of defensive and offensive. Offensive is looking for, when I see flaws out there, I see opportunities out there. That's a big difference. Yes, now I'm starting to see what this offensive defense is starting to play a role, how you move, how you feel. My emotions feel, I'm like, wow, this is the dawn of the golden era. Okay, am I ready for this? Am I positioned? What else do I need to be strong enough to take advantage of this wave that's about to come so I can get all my fish? As opposed to, man, you know it's really fucked up what happened with this, and then Trump really fucked up shit. I think Biden's fucking up some shit, and we got to wear masks again, shit all fuck, man, it's just all negative. I'm like, okay, so we have to wear masks. I don't like that, but is that gonna help fight the media? I think it is, because that means they're gonna need more money for communications.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but make sure I'm positioned well for that. See how my brain went to offense right away? You will feel the negative. You should feel the negative energy. It's what do you do with it? Do you compute a defense or do you compute an offense? Do you rest all your emotions in the defensive space, like, or do you rest your emotions in, like, okay, so what does this mean for me? Like, to me, my brain goes, show you this with another one. White people have the right to commit every form of oppression they think they can come up with. Doesn't mean that it has to work. Doesn't mean I have to submit. That's my offensive thinking. So even if a system comes as unfair, it only works if I let it work. I still have the power to come with a counter strategy. You see where I'm going? This is offensive thinking. So you can't trap me with, this was unfair. Okay. But what are we not doing?
Hey, I got something for you. And we ain't even talked about this, but I think you have some amazing insights. So the baby just got recently mauled by the media, right? He's a rapper, if you don't know.
Yeah,
who
I know.
he is.
Yeah, I know who
So,
he is.
he
I don't listen to his words, though, but I know who he is. I'm kind of new school. Go ahead.
So he came out, I guess, during a concert and said something derogatory about, gays,
HIV.
lesbians, HIV, right?
Yeah.
So then he stood on it because he's a hood rapper. So then he starts getting dropped by all these different venues, right? Lollapalooza, all these different venues dropped him. So they kind of forced him into an apology. And so between the apology and the statement, he stood down on it, and a couple rappers backed him up. And so he made a statement on his Twitter with something to the effect of, damn, it's crazy. I can rap about murdering other black men and I go platinum. I can rap about calling bitches hoes and bitches and all this shit, I go platinum. I say something wrong about the LGBT community and now I gotta apologize. So because so then the crowd split and they're like, well, you should have stood down on what you were saying then. If that's how you shouldn't have apologized. And then the other group is like, you should apologize earlier than that. So what's your take on that?
On should he apologize and not apologize?
Just his mentality or just the culture in general. Like it goes, to me, it goes back to this defensive thinking. So he's in a pool of defensive thinking people, right? He raps about the shit that happens below the line all day, every day. So, but the powers that be, the people who employ him and pay him, are above the line. So basically, you can rap about that below the line shit all you want. Just don't speak on nothing above the line.
But social justice is below the line. It's all below the line. It's a whole world of below, because everybody's trying to be right? Because really, what kills me about a lot of issues is that those who don't like to be shamed shame you. So now we're in a cycle of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No one's really evolving above the line in the conversation. I think for black people, gays, my Latino folks, the way these conversations are going, it's almost like people who are idealists, we're not holding them to the fire because they represent positivity. But we don't realize that they don't have structure and they're not thinking long term. And so we're just buying into these ideas. Mm-hmm. And so the reason it's so messy is because both sides are arguing defense. No one really has an offensive dialogue. And you're right about that, but it's kind of hard. Even though he's right, unfortunately, when you brand yourself so heavily as a defense exploiter, mm-hmm. then it's almost like you violate. Because in defense, they have rules. It's just kind of weird. They have rules, but the illogical thinking in that defensive space, you're violating those rules based upon defensive engaged relationships, and it's weird that you want to be right when you live a life of exploitation. It's kind of like weird. And so I think it's kind of hard to like, what would I do? Well, one, I don't have a need to like attack people, because also him saying they are a problem of any type is that defensive thinking that somebody out there is negative. There's no such thing as gays are a problem. They may be a gay person is a problem. Right? I mean, that gay person could be doing something that's violating. It could be a man, it could be a woman. Anybody could be a problem. But when you make a broad term, a broad statement, that's something I'm projecting more than I'm observing. And so once you make that comment, he owes apology in the context of saying, hey, I just made that up. I don't know where I was coming from. Now, can he make money off of that? Fuck yeah, he can. Can he turn that around and make it a positive outcome? You goddamn right he can. Can it open up new opportunities for new discussions? Oh, goddamn right it can, right? But I think reason I think it's like I shrug my shoulders is because, well, dude, you're a kid. And if he didn't make his money publicly, just like if you run in Court Smith and you put on your basketball fag balls, that's just
okay.
Okay.
Wow.
What if I just
okay.
say that? What if I just say you came out there, you put that out, and people are like, yo, that's inappropriate? You wouldn't do that. You'd be like, yo, my bad. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I must have been high that night. Because why? If that's a portion of your market, that's not why we're in this game. You know, you're in this game to move things forward. Even if I disagree with you, I'm not going to resist you. I'm going to move to a higher idea. Right? Because me resisting you is a waste of my time.
Right.
I have a financial leak now.
Right.
Like that's what I say. Like, when people are, oh, they're the Bloombergs or the Illuminati, do you realize how much that money and time that would cost to go against you? It's more in their interest to move things forward in there. If there is a such thing, which I don't really believe it is, but if there is a such thing, it's more in the interest of people to move things forward than to resist somebody else. So I think like baby is my nephew. The baby. Like, first of all, I would say, bruh, I don't get your name. But number two is that if he was my nephew, I would say to him, yo, my man, why are you creating friction? Like, you didn't never have to say anything. Doesn't mean you have to love everybody, because that's not true. Because I think that's what the idealist wants us to believe, that we have to love everything and everybody. And that's not fucking real. But I'm also don't need to speak on something unless they directly, like if somebody directly coming from me, I could be like, yo, this dude right here is on some extreme gay stuff and he's coming for me. And I'm not with that shit. Okay, cool. But that general statement and the HIV and the you know, it's like, and also too, like, he's also functioning from a space of trying to simplify people's lives. Oh, it must be A, B, and then you're C. And he's not taking the complex sequences of the universe. You don't know people's stories, their lives. So when you start speaking publicly, you're shitting on everybody's
You're
history.
shitting on a lot of people.
So
yeah.
I'm not with any type of culture, like, and then deep down in my heart, and it's something that I drive my company by, my family stands for this. All people are good.
Yep.
All human beings are good. All now. Hitler may have had a bad experience that took him in a bad place, and he mentally lost it, and he did some really fucked up shit. And same thing with Idi Amin, and we keep running down a list of people who just did some really fucked up shit. But deep down inside, all human beings were good. So I'm not going to ever engage in these people are evil. I might say they get on my nerves, but that's a temporary feeling. That's not if I see somebody drowning, I'm not going to go save them. Or if I see somebody hungry, I won't feed them, right? Or I would let somebody create an unfair law practice against anybody. I'm too much of a real man to be trying to shit on anybody. Now I'm going to talk about my little Chinese midgets because they're funny, but outside that, nobody else. Nobody else. Anyway, let's keep. I ain't even never seen a Chinese midget, so now when I see one, I may stop talking about them because it may get serious. But right now, it is the funniest thing in the world because, you know, I just haven't seen it. Anyway, now this is the last point of this piece here. You cannot thrive when you're in survival mode. When you're in defensive mode, you can't thrive.
I always wanted to be.
So I mean, just keep it really, really. His iPad just came over. But the thing is, you cannot thrive. I mean that all these things you guys want to do, as long as you stay in it. I'm not saying you can't go into defensive mode every once in a while. We're not demonizing. You can't demonize any of it. It's just that you don't have an offensive mode. When I go back home to East Oakland, I turn on some of my defensive mode because I got to think about protecting myself and protecting my family as I get home. But once I'm in the house, I turn on my offensive mode to interact with my family. When I call my business, I call court, I'm in offensive mode. When I talk to a stranger, I'm in offensive mode. I only go in defensive mode when enough signs are saying, hey, put your head on swivel, you might be in a dangerous space. Or it's so calm and it's kind of weird and there's some security challenges here, okay, go on swivel. And so you may see a little defense come out of me. But what I don't do is default and stay in defense mode all the time. I would say defense mode probably represents 20% of my life, and 80% of my life is offensive. So I'm not claiming completely go there, but if you have a high defense mode, you are let me tell you, okay.
Cutting.
Let me get a little deeper. I'm not going to mention a student name, but a student called me today and told me how much he made over 20 grand in 1 month on an idea he started a few months ago. And he's like, this shit's crazy. And I said to him, you don't realize the old you would have sabotaged at least 18 grand of that money. He said, how would I have done that? I said, because you're embracing positive ideas and forward-moving ideas, so you're making people feel like there's a movement and you're pulling them in and you're bringing them along and they're excited and they're investing in you. But if you showed up with fear, doubt, scarcity, protection, resistance, sign this contract, I don't trust you, I don't know about you, I'm not close to people like this, resist this, reject that, argumentative, I gotta be the leader, who you talking to, Google me, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You would sabotage majority of those relationships, and most of the relationships would have never got started. And they would have been nothing you would remember because they would have been subtleties in just the way you talk. Get this. I didn't say you had arguments or moments you can remember. It literally would have been you just talking and you're echoing so much defensive thinking that you literally are tearing down all these financial and growth opportunities because you're destroying collaborations. Also, it says, relational connections was the last one. Relational connections is, you know how if you want to do something, all the people who know you or you can call on. They ain't seen you in years, but they're gonna have your back as soon as they hear you go to call. And you just have this wealth of people that just want to do you favors. And if you just need help, people show up for you. That's because you live in an offensive mindset. But when you're in a defensive mindset, you kill those relationships off. So you don't have people that you just pick up the phone and be like, damn, I need somebody to work on my car. Oh, I know this dude over here that works with, hey man, my car just broke down. He's like, oh, this is Nana? Yeah, man, I need to bring my car. Hey man, look, I'm gonna get you in. We get you in half price. Don't worry about it, we got you. That's because when he saw me, I projected so much offense. And every time I engaged him, it was always offense. You know, let me tip him. When I see him, I'm going to say, how can I say something nice? How can I show for him to make him feel good? How can I listen to him? And if he says something he says something to me, and you're like, usually this makes people mad. I'm like, why would they be mad? That's your opinion. Why would I be mad? Well, let's talk about that. He's like, no one wants to talk to me about this. Oh, I want to talk to you about that because I'm in offense. See, you can't offend me. And when I see you, how can I give you something before I leave? How can I walk in love in space and hug people and really mean my hug? Because I'm in the office. So, see, when you hug some people, they'll be like, yo, I don't really like hugs. Because you're defensive. But if you're ever around me, I bring you in instantly without like some people say, I don't hug people like this because I don't know what they're thinking. You're in defensive mode. I'm hugging you right away like, I don't give a shit what you're thinking. I'm giving you my offensive love instantly. So now I have all these relationships, these distant relationships that I don't talk to. I don't even know what's happening in their life. But when I call them, we pick up from our last conversation, and I get that love. So if I say, hey, can you support Diallo? Oh, we coming. Right? But it's because that's how you show up to the world. But when you're defensive, you're clipping them. Just clipping them, like pruning all these relationships. And then one day when you need a favor, you got to pay for it. You will be single, not single in relationship, dating somebody. I'm talking about you are a single human being because you've been so defensive. Nobody wants to fuck with you. It's too much. So you cannot thrive in survival mode. It's not possible because you need people and you keep killing off your relationships. And the way you feel about things, you got so much fear driving your decision making. You don't realize, like when I see these activists online, they did this and fuck it, I call out one, like Davey D. He's purely defensive. Oh, that was wrong. You see that? That was bad. That was wrong. Now, y'all might think, oh, that's a good brother because he represents, he's a visionary. What y'all don't see is depression. Because when you think like that all the time, you're suffering from depression. A lot of activists that you love are suffering in pain. That's what I used to say. We don't realize the depressed are running the world. This is some cold shit. This is why I say that as an entrepreneur, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur and trying to be an activist and you wonder why you're in conflict, is because both those mindsets are opposites. If you want to help black people, go build some shit. Go help them. Don't sit there and keep fighting white people who don't give a shit about you. These white people going home and eating cereal, and you over here mad as a motherfucker. Most of them don't even feel that way about you. They just don't care about you, and that's the right they have. But when you're offensive, you don't care either about them not caring about you. I only care if you try to come to my house with a gun and rape somebody in my house. And then I'm in defensive mode, and I'm shooting. I'm going out. Hopefully I'll win this one. But if I know the guy down the street don't like me, and he can't make a play on me, whatever play he has, I have greater counter plays. On top of that, how can I make him an ally to make my house better? How has he made me more aware of self-aware to put I'm showing him different to the life? I actually appreciate him. And the day I see him fall because he get older, I'm going to pick him up. Because he can't make me. I'm bigger than him. Some of y'all say y'all believe in God, but y'all don't walk like y'all believe in God. Y'all believe in white man. I should go back.
Damn, I should have stayed in the bathroom.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sorry. So let me go over a couple more things. This is the first step let's go into first step modes. We're gonna get. I'm not gonna change a book that's gonna really get deep into this. I'm still debating because this book is kind of heavy and it's really for high level leadership and scaling leadership. But I might get into this book. But these are some of the things I'm pulling out to say, hey, these are some things you guys should know about. First thing is first. There's two things you have to work on before this offensive defensive thing starts to make any sense for you and you to gain control. First thing is you have to learn to love yourself. No, actually, the first thing before loving yourself is awareness. Many of us don't have self-awareness. Without self-awareness, you can't divide the offense from the defense. It's all going to look the same to you. You'll be playing whack-a-mole. Oops, oops, ouch, ouch, oops, oops. I think that was it. You done already committed to defensive act. Now you're talking about it 2 weeks later. That's no awareness. You have to increase your personal awareness. Then once you increase your personal awareness, wherever you are in your journey, you're perfect. You're perfect for the experiences you have, the environment you came up in. It's just now you're deciding to grow and reach for something higher. But you cannot see yourself imperfect because then you won't give yourself the grace for growth. Mm-hmm. You will literally make your growth so rigid that you will break once you get to a certain point in your growth. Mm. You have to provide personal grace. Now, I want to add one that's very, and I'm getting into some business shit, but this is very, very important in your personal life. Zero-sum thinking. I mentioned zero-sum thinking so many times, and it's very popular in defensive culture, especially defensive new black businesses. I'm gonna start this business, and how do I make sure I get paid, and I get majority of the money, or I protect this idea? I got people sign this contract because they can won't steal it from me. If me and you negotiating, I came here to get this. So how do I win? If you're offensive, you're always thinking, how can we all win? Mm-hmm. When they were negotiating defund the police, the argument is, how do we all win? How do we all win? When you start moving through life with how do we all win, not how do I win, which is a form of being right. How do we all win will, over time, give you greater and more accumulated wins. How do you win by yourself will starve your wins. And sometimes you may not even really win at all. Mm-hmm. Learn to think more about how do we all win. I'm talking about even in a household. I want that apple. Well, I want that apple. Well, let's split it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't be like, well, I brought the apple. It's my money. No, let's split it. We're going to all win. Mm-hmm. How do we, in all negotiations, when you're working on your new business idea, this is why you share with everybody. Because even if they take it, well, fuck it, we all win. We all can win. You know, I can do your business idea better. You can't? Well, how can you? Well, I have this investor, I have this kind of money. Well, okay, well, can I collaborate with you, support you, and help us all win? Because you not become successful is way better than this person having millions to get successful. And you take, let's say you walk away with just 10, 20, 30 million, as opposed to you busted your ass and walked away with nothing.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Stephen Covey calls that win-win or no deal. It means I'm not losing and you're not losing, and I'm not winning and you're losing, and like we both win or this don't work. And so I think a lot of times we'll put ourselves in situations based on how we were brought up that if we lose, then somehow we're a martyr, and being a martyr is good. Because Jesus was a martyr, and there's like Dr. Martin Luther King and God, all these people were martyrs. But in business, you'll die on your own vine. You can't play the martyr game. You have to win. So it's not, but you have to win. But the other person has to win too. If the other person doesn't win, then eventually, from a reputational perspective and even an energy perspective, you'll slowly be back on that island we was talking about before, to where, man, ain't nobody fucking with, because you just for yourself. And if you get the reputation of just being in it for yourself, there'll be some other greedy motherfuckers that may fuck with you because they like to exchange and be around that energy, but eventually, long game, you ain't gonna win. It's over. It's gonna be over for you because as you scale, like a lot of times beyond a certain point, a scaling point, what I'm learning too is it's reputational. The ones and zeros and all that shit, beyond a certain point, everybody knows the ones and zeros. It's what's his character? What is she about? How does she get down? They don't act like that's what they want to know, like from an integrity perspective. Like, do we all win together? Do you engage in relationships to where you are advancing human?
So it's a long game. It's a long game.
It's a long game. So, but black women, you can't lose. You can't lose. Don't jump into a situation and be like, well, I'm just gonna take this L. And no, like you figure out a way where you both can win. Because zero sum thinking have you thinking that either you're gonna win or you're gonna lose.
I mean, think about this. What if Suge Knight had the idea of everybody wins? He'd be here today.
Different.
Totally different person. You drum up more enemies by always having to be right, and you fracture more relationships, and on top of that, you shut down your innovation and creativity opportunities. Because creativity and innovation come through relationships.
Amen, bro.
Right? Like, this business thing is all about relationships. And so if you work on this always, everybody wins, you may take a little bit less now, but over time, you're going to get more. And so learn to play this game where we're all playing this game. I mean, Grand National, if y'all listening, you are threatened by your past. You're threatened by the culture of hip hop, which is a defensive game. If you guys want to be leaders in this game, you guys can act like you're defensive or show up in a defensive space when you're doing your music. But when you're thinking, you got to go into offensive mode. My Christian people, uncertainty is defensive, meaning that being scared of uncertainty is a defensive mindset. One of the major reasons that people are in religion is because it gives them a sense of certainty. But you're not really optimizing relationship until you move to the offensive mindset. Majority of the church is a defensive mindset because they're operating from a space of not enough, scared, fear, uncertainty, right? But in order to really lead yourself into the grace of that book, these books you guys are studying, you got to shift to the offensive side. Social justice, brothers and sisters. You're going to be stuck in a long, long loop and fractured and damaged relationships. I went through the 90s consciousness groups. All of them are fractured. All of them are fractured. There's no standing group that's killing it. Because their whole mindset was there was somebody working to destroy them. None of this ever lasts. The things that last are things that have an offensive undertone. When I think about one of the most powerful churches in our West Coast is Glide Memorial. But if you ever listen to Glide Memorial, they always have offense focus. It's all offense focus. We're showing up. We're going to be there. We're going to help. We're going to provide. We're there. We don't necessarily believe in everything everybody believes in, but if we can show up the way we can show up, we're going to do that. And look how the world pours into Glide Memorial. I don't think you guys, just pay attention to the world of offensive leaders and defensive leaders. And defensive leaders can have a short reign. You can see them at the top for a minute. But look at Jay-Z. Have y'all watched how Jay-Z went from defensive thinking to offensive thinking? When he hit that billion, did y'all notice how he's like, oh, it ain't even about this shit I've been talking all this time? Because as you grow, you realize, oh, I was responding to me trying to survive. Now, some of you will get it. Some of you guys will be graced by your economic growth, and it clicks one day. And you realize, I don't want to be defensive anymore. But some of you can start now and accelerate that growth. Because the other side of defensive is the only person that takes the blow is you. Defense is not about you just losing opportunities. It's the person you beat up the hardest is yourself. The ugliness you see in the world is the ugliness you reflect back on you. And before you know it, you're consumed. And you're walking around looking ugly. Not ugly because of like the way God made you. Ugly because you embrace so many ugly things. You just look ugly. like I've seen I'm gonna give an example, and it may or may not apply because I don't know her. But I saw Whoopi Goldberg deteriorate right in front of my eyes. I don't know if y'all saw Whoopi when she first started. She was a young, pretty, brown-skinned woman telling great stories. And as she became more political and more, I don't like this and I don't like that, she looked like that. Because when everything becomes ugly, everything can't be ugly. Look, this is the world we were given by God. It's beautiful to somebody. And if you do, and the change you want to see, just become it. Show up to it.
Hey, offensive thinking. How do we apply it? Just in the wild. Here's a couple. Some shit pops off. It happens to you. It's painful, or it's a challenge. If you ask yourself in your reasoning and your thinking, what's good about this that I haven't noticed? What's good about this? Well, in your first mind, fuck, nothing's good. A car just hit me. What's good about this? That's offensive thinking. Second question.
Actually, before you hit that, just radical responsibility. Radical responsibility. If you take a radical responsibility for everything, you can then land into what's good. But if you don't take radical responsibility and instantly go into fault, blame, you can't get to that. So radical responsibility.
Yeah.
What's good about that? Go ahead.
Yep. Then another one. What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? If you stay in that lane all the time, then that offensive thinking muscle is going to start getting bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger. And soon, when shit happens, you don't have to go all the way down through all your bullshit to get to those. Those are the first thing that pop up. And you start laughing. People are like, man, you sick, you sadistic. Why are you laughing at that shit? Or why ain't you mad? Like, because I don't even, you stop thinking like that. You laughing and everybody's like thinking you weird or upset at you because you ain't mad like everybody else. But that's how you get above the line. And it takes time. Believe me, it takes time. But start practicing it. And over time, you'll seem like you're kind of sadistic when bad shit happens. But in actuality, you just think above the line.
Any questions before we go on to the ego's enemy? Because we're about to flow. But that was some heavy shit. I'm going to post this video. I'm thinking about a book that we might go into. But this is something I don't expect you guys to flip that lever. And next time I see you, you're above the line. You more likely will be below the line. But it's something that you want to thrive for, or you want to try to achieve in the future. Because once it's almost the happiness that most of us are seeking. We have access to it inside of ourselves. It's not something external. And part of it is changing the way we see the world. We talk about reframe. We introduced you guys to reframing and priming a long time ago. But if you start reframing all of your thoughts and realize it's a superpower that really reframe your thought. Same thing could be bad, could be good. When you start using the tool of reframing, you realize, oh my God. You mean my happiness was always within my control and no one made me mad, sad, unhappy? Even you said to me, well, not when I was a kid, this happened. Okay, when that happened, that was true. Anybody can, yeah, that's true, you can't be a victim. But 30 years from now, and you're still a victim, you're choosing to be a victim now. That's the sad part for all of us. My mother abandoned me and she didn't want to spend time. Okay, that's true. 30 years now. Why are we still having this conversation? Because you're choosing to. And it's not your fault either. It just is what it is. Doesn't mean it had to be that way, but it is what it is at this point. You can't change if you're not aware. Once you're aware, now you have the choice. And if you're trying to climb into this game called entrepreneurship, well, you can't choose to live at the bottom when you're trying to climb to the top.
Again, I don't know. That's why I love the whole make jokes about. If you can get to a space where you can start making jokes about the shit that happened to you in the past, the ease at which it slides out of your psychology and your system, that gives you the ability to heal, it changes the game for you. That's literally some of the therapy that I've gone through. Like, what's funny about the shit? And it could be the most horrible shit. And it could be just your joke to yourself. But it could be the most horrible shit that's happened to you. But if you get to the space to where you can create just funny internal memes about it, then now you can start laughing at it, and now you can start healing. You know what I'm saying? That's real, because trauma is sometimes some trauma or past pain is so hard to detach from, because it's hard to go back in that moment and relive the childlike mentality you were in that flash that's in your emotions. So being an older, more rational adult, sometimes it's hard to match that energy to heal it. But man, the joking about it is what that laughter is very light energy. That laughter peels it up. And most of us, like he talked about, this is really deep shit, is like it makes you more serious. So then it closes the door. Hey, let's talk about, I don't want to talk, don't talk about that. This shit ain't funny. All right? Like a lot of times, military vets, you can't open that door. You cannot open that door unless you were a military vet too, and they can relate with you. But if you a civilian, man, you wasn't there, you don't get it, don't talk to me about that shit. And so that's why it's so hard sometimes for them to heal that. So laughter.
And have you ever noticed how fast you could change your opinion with a joke? You could be stuck on a certain opinion, and a comedian could tell a joke, you'd be like, yeah, that shit was kind of stupid, huh? But if I sat there and just Kenny, you'd be like, no, Shakina, this shit's serious change. This serious shit. It would actually make her resist me more. And so without the humor elements, my house is fucking Comedy Central. But you don't realize that's part of our evolution and change. If we're trying to always change and grow, then that's going to make our house playful. Like Shakira will go off and play. She keeps the house playful. Diallo's on steroids. He's just next level play. But regardless, we play. Even now, Zinga's trying to tell jokes. They're horrible jokes. But she's a baby. She ain't got the punchline stuff down right yet. But she's telling her jokes, right? But all that play is helping everybody evolve. If we were a serious family, it would actually smother our growth and our ability to change and address uncomfortable situations. We've had uncomfortable situations, but we've also laughed about those uncomfortable situations. And we realize, and it's not that we don't approach serious conversations. We can fully, like me and him always have serious conversations and laugh. And we solve serious problems. And we execute aggressively. And we walk in our truths that we know to be true at the time. But we can laugh about it. We never get to the point where we're like, man, that ain't no laughing matter, dude. Like, and don't get me wrong, somebody can't say my mama just died. You be like, okay, boy, you gotta laugh at that. No, that's not funny. That's not what we saying. Well, that's good. Yeah, because that's the Alo's humor. But it's one of those type of things where when something happens, as you're going through it, there is some humor there. And if you're ever around me, you hear me go, Anyway, keep going. Because I just laughed. But that also allows me to step back, get a bird's eye view, jump in and out, and be able to own the conversation and to be able to be the true strategist driving that problem. But when I'm sunk in the problem, I create more biases, I tunnel, I become scarcity in my thought, and all of a sudden I'm a victim of my own thought.
I have two questions.
Go ahead, 2 questions, go ahead.
So Shabisha said...
First of all, isn't it nice to hear Marquita's voice online? We haven't, for those of you at home and around, we haven't heard that beautiful voice in a minute, so welcome back, Marquita.
Thank you. Shabisha's question, can you talk about the distinction between time and courage when it comes to radical responsibility? She's asking because she hears you saying it takes time, and she immediately thought, how can I know if I'm avoiding something because I tell myself it takes time?
That brain of hers is so funny.
Well, okay.
She's so intelligent.
Yeah, and she looks at A, B, C, D all the way to Z. Yeah, and a couple of numbers. Yeah, the Z, yeah. So let me say this real quick. A couple of things. One is that I think you need to stop worrying about the time. I think some of us act like we have a destination gap. be aware that your fear is high and it might be slowing you down. Be aware that you're going to have to sometimes just jump. But also be aware, as long as you're aware, that's the most important part. See, also, let me get into another point too. Okay, you made me, Shabisha, you always have to make me go an extra step. So fuck it, I'm going to ride with Shabisha for those of y'all, hold on. Are you willing? Are you willing? Are you willing to change? Many of us say we're willing to change, but we're not really willing to change. We say, yeah, I want to change, but are you really willing to change? You know what it is, right? Are you really willing to get that up? Are you really, really willing to face that fear? Now, what I'm asking you to do, this is what I'm asking everybody that can hear my voice. I'm not asking you to force yourself to be willing. I need you to be aware if you're willing or not willing because you're equally the same. Once you're aware that you're willing or unwilling, you're on the right track. It's when you're not aware if you're willing or unwilling. That's the most important part. So you just have to be, that's why I say awareness is the first part. Many of us are not even aware if we're willing or unwilling. And so we have this really muddy dialogue happening in our head and we're not really moving, even though we're using energy, but we're not moving, right? And we're beating ourselves up in the middle of that space. Learn to accept wherever you are. I'm just not willing to change yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, accept that, and time will work with you. Mm. I'm willing to change. Accept that, and now you can start to drive a little bit further. But not being aware of that at all is this big ditch in your path that's blindly taking your journey away from you.
Mm. Yeah, here's the deal too, is saying it takes time is invalid if you don't try. So the saying it takes time works if you tried and failed, not just, it takes time. You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna take some hell of time.
It takes time. Hey, are you taking radical responsibility? It takes time. No, you got to try this shit, and if you fail, and you don't get the outcome that you want, either emotionally, physically, whatever, then you're like, hey, it's okay, Shabisha. This is going to take time. But it comes after your attempts, and every attempt is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're going to make less excuses and less excuses. So over time, you're going to realize, damn, I have no excuses to give. I own all this shit. But it took time. But it has to start with one piece of responsibility, taking responsibility a little bit, but just kicking back and being like, because it's not going to like come down to you like a revelation. You know what I mean? Like you either have to be thrown into a situation where you have to take radical responsibility, or you have to start taking those micro steps yourself. I don't know if you ever watched that movie Ray. The beautiful part in that movie where he was a little boy and he was crying for his mom in the kitchen, and she knew if I keep helping this boy, he's not gonna take responsibility for what he got, and he ain't gonna get it. So he's crying and she's standing there, and she wants to help him because she's crying, but she's not. And you see him going from being a victim to taking radical responsibility in that scene. And then as soon as he did, he was like, Mom, you're right there, and you're crying, and you're standing there, and now I can hear the wind, and now I can hear the window open over there in the corner. Now all these things, because now he owns it. But it's a threshold, or you gotta go after it, and you have to go after it in micro doses the best way you can. This shit take time. Shit, that you'll be here 10 years from now saying that.
You know what's so cool is a thought that came to me. You know how beautiful it is to build a team that believes in radical responsibility? Mm-hmm. If everybody on the team says, well, what did I do to cause that problem? You got a super team. Mm-hmm. Like I'm literally trying to build radical responsibility in the 5T media where if something goes wrong, I don't want to hear, well, they, and then I didn't know, so then they, and then so what she said and he said. I don't hear about none of that. What did you do? Because if you tell me what you did, we can sit down and work on a strategy so you can get around all those small obstacles. These obstacles are only big because you don't have radical responsibility. And some of them make you feel, some of them are amplified by you to make you feel good about your failure. So radical responsibility allows you to grow faster. It helps you stop hiding from yourself. And it helps you pull your mask off and be comfortable with what you look like when you don't have a mask on. What was the other question?
Chris Foster, my therapist shared.
CF, what's up, baby?
My therapist shared years back that I have a tendency to over-own, which is my subtle attempt at control. In the hit by a car example that Court gave, what would radical responsibility look like?
Okay, so accidental hit. You walk on the street, somebody hits you. It will help you reflect on life. What have you not been grateful for? How have you been showing up? It might cause you to focus on my personal life. 2, thank God I've taken care. Like when I got hit I got hit on my bicycle, and I said, "Oh, thank God." And the lady had a big ass dent in her car, and my leg swelled up really big because I guess the blood got hit so hard, it caused my leg to swell up really big, and then it went back down. And I thought to myself, I got to make sure I take care of myself. I got to make sure, I started going on this list of things I can do better about myself. Also, one time I got hit, and I was like, you know what? When I got hit on my motorcycle, I said, well, yeah, I did want a Harley, so I'm just going to use this, get another Harley, whatever. Right? Things happen. Like, I don't live in a perfect world. If I accept I don't live in a perfect world, I can't make it perfect in my head. So this is how life really works. Also, It makes me think about, okay, what streets are you riding down? Is this really the best street to be on? How should I think about that, right? Should I ride it? If I have more to lose, do I want to play that game? Also, or do I become so fearful that I stop playing? So I'm having these deeper dialogues like, how am I playing? How am I showing up? What does this mean to me? What's the outcome? But I'm owning my space in that conversation. I'm not sitting around like, she should have seen me, and she should have knew better, and she wasn't paying. What does that got to do with anything? Another thing too is that when the 2 times I got hit, it was 10% my fault. So what did I do wrong? What could I have done different in those situations? Maybe when these cars are this tight together, and I'm going across the intersection, slow the intersection point down so in case the car is open and somebody makes a hard turn. So now I'm looking for that. So now I know that's one way I got hit. Second thing, when I see a car and I'm riding and it's one lane and I'm on a motorcycle and it's kind of a space where it's kind of a tight space, I'm watching tires now. Didn't watch tires before. Because I took responsibility. See, I'm gathering all this data about what I can do as opposed to, well, they could have, they should have. See, people out here driving crazy. We need to work on change the laws getting changed around here. This is just crazy. And if you knew to get the laws changed, what is my radical responsibility against that? Am I working with other people, building a communication system to reach CHP to say, hey, we want more police or different structure or more lights or better stop signs. Like, go to Rock Ridge area right now, and they COVID down. That's community collaboration. You can't even push the sign to go across the street. They got that taped up, right? Now, they might be a little bit over because, that's their thing. But you see the community moving forward to build structures to protect their interests. So how do you show up to things in society that's not working? Or do you act like the way black people are acting right now? We're in our house while our kids are terrorizing us.
And taking radical responsibility is different from feeling guilt. So you don't feel guilt if you don't feel down, you don't feel depressed. No, you can take radical responsibility and be at the highest of confidence and feel good. You just own it. And if it fucks up, but you still own it. But that kind of thinking is what you find micro distinctions in everything that separate you from other people. The blamers and the victims, like there's no wealth gap. There is the gap is between radical responsibility and the victim mindset people, period. So you take a simple example of a car. He gave some great ones, and I'm thinking this is exactly how I think. Like, I don't give a fuck what the rules are. I don't give a shit what the laws are. I care about my safety and how do I protect myself, the people in my car, and the cars around me. And that, whatever the fuck that is. So if if I'm sitting at a stoplight and my stoplight turns green, if I'm in East Oakland, I'm still waiting. I look to the left, I look to the right, then I go. Because that's radical responsibility. Because nobody gives a fuck about the lights down there, so I own it. Now, if I go and somebody hits me, I'm like, you was wrong. Fuck that shit. It's not about right and wrong. I want safety. So, like, asking those questions based on little distinctions that happen. Do I drive on 580 or 880 when I got to go somewhere? I go 580. I don't even go to 80. Why the fuck do I drive down 98th to get anything? Fuck 98. I don't give a shit if it's faster or not. If somebody backs out and hits me in the parking lot of a grocery store, that accident example, what the fuck am I doing in this ghetto ass grocery store anyway? This is where this type of shit happens. So it was my fault for doing it. I could have took 10 extra minutes and went to Alameda anyway. So that's radical responsibility. It's not necessarily the guilt part. It's just continuing to create more distinctions so that you have an advantage in everything you do. And that now you're thinking about it in every situation, and it just adds to the kind of the dopeness and the security and the adventure and the fun and the happiness of your life.
Yeah, I ride motorcycles, and I remember I took a class 20 years ago, and they said when you're on a motorcycle, always assume somebody's trying to hit you. You take responsibility for the way you're on the road. You don't assume they see you and they should follow the rules, and you always assume that people don't see you and they're trying to hit you, and the argument, assume you're invisible and they can't see you. So that means that often when you're on a motorcycle, you got to compensate for their mistakes. You don't ride down the street like, well, I'm in a car, I got this lane, you got that lane. You got to say, okay, what if they don't see me? How do I adjust already? Mm-hmm. And so when I drive my car, I drive like that. I'm always thinking, okay, what's this play on this person I'm coming over to? And that's my whole drive the whole time. I'm looking at what is everybody's play, right? And I'm always thinking about even with this new thing where guys are coming on the freeway at 110 miles per hour, while everybody's doing 65 and they're weaving at 110. I'm always thinking about what is my play. So now when I'm on my motorcycle, I'm always in the fast lane because very rarely do anybody weave in and out of the fast lane. They weave in the slower lanes. So it's easier for me to get clipped. So I stay in the fast lane, go 75, 80, 90, because the chance of me being clipped is better. So this is all radical responsibility. As opposed to, it just shouldn't be there. And then now I'm a victim. Oh, we good on one more?
Chelsea, I can't hear myself. What do you think about radical responsibility and ego death? Do you have to kill your ego in order to take responsibility?
No, you have to tame your ego. No. You don't kill it. Don't ever. The word "kill" is another extreme. So you don't fix extreme with another extreme. So that's a good question because a lot of people thought that for years, and a lot of people still think that in every class, every year. And some people who've been with me still talk about killing their ego. No, you never kill your ego. Radical responsibility doesn't mean that you won't feel look, when you take radical responsibility, it doesn't mean you won't feel uncomfortable. It's one of the hardest changes you're going to ever experience because it's scary. There's a lot of fear that stops radical responsibility. Because, first of all, you're so harsh on yourself, you so don't love yourself, that radical responsibility will deal that death blow to you, to many people. So radical responsibility is when you realize, okay, because the most important, if you hear, I think it was, the dude say, we're the best. What's that dude rapper?
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled is like, yo, if you hear.
Another one.
If you hear, always remember, if you hear live, life is good.
Yeah.
Life is good. If you're in jail, your life is good. So at this point, radical responsibility is just like, oh, it's just a game. But when your ego is changing the game into life blows, that's why I say you have to learn how to separate the the survival mode from the ego challenges. Because you can feel it for a minute, but as long as you're able to pull yourself back, okay, that's just my ego. It just don't really mean anything. If somebody says, no, we don't accept you, all right, see you later. But have you guys noticed, like, pay attention to yourself. Most of the time when you're arguing with people, deep down inside, you want them to accept you when the conversation's over.
Of course.
If you can let that go and coming from a space like, I'm going to love you and I don't need you to accept me. Can you love me and not need me to love you back?
Yes, sir.
Hey, yeah, we need our egos.
It has its
no
place.
question. We need our egos. It has its place. It keeps you standing straight up at times. You need it. It's just we talking about overuse or overexpansion or magnification of our egos. Like, that's our issue. You don't lead with it. It's a tool. It's one tool out of a big toolbox that you pull out when necessary. So radical responsibility is also tied to it a little bit. Like, that, it could be one of the tools in radical responsibility. When I was in 7th grade, I told my mom, I got it. I don't need your lunch money no more. Like, lunch money, school clothes, and haircut, I'll take care of it. Because I was making a little money, hustling, selling little things here and there. I didn't realize the consistency wasn't there. So, 3-4 months into it, my hustle dried up. And so now I'm out there looking thirsty, but my ego wouldn't let me go back to my mom and ask. Pride, I was like, so I got to figure it out. And that figuring it out again, that like scrambling and that not wanting to go back to my mom helped me find another way, another avenue. I went and bought clippers, learned how to cut my own hair, just all these. Next thing you know, like, I figured it out again. So ego, like, we don't kill it. It's just most of us lead with it. So if somebody can feel your humility, then that's dope. But outside of that, it's like, oh man, all the shit that he talked about earlier with the defensive thinking, when that's how you lead, then that's where it's dangerous.
Look, this business stuff, let me say this real too. Don't try to simplify this stuff. Try to figure out how to make it all work together. It's like we're giving you ingredients to build all these dope ass recipes. But if it was easy, there's no reason for Bibles and Qurans and all the books of the universe, because there's times to use your ego and time to dump your ego. And so to overemphasize that to overfocus on what's the A-B approach, I think ultimately puts us in a position where we're trying to make this shit easy. Like, reason we said this is practice and growth. That's like you saying basketball, being a pro is hella easy. You just do A, B, and C. I mean, all that girl doing is flipping on the goddamn board and shit, landing a couple times. I mean, I can flip, right? Or now all you saying is I need to learn how to just flip a couple times. I'm taking a class on flipping this summer, so I'm gonna call it Olympics. No, when you're an entrepreneur, you're at the height of the game. That means you're gonna have to take these are all the basics we're introducing you to. Where the practice comes in as you go out there and you get to gain high levels of awareness and find how to balance this stuff, right? Because if I'm amongst sharks and you the Dalai Lama, maybe you need to flex a little bit, back them up, and then go back to being a Dalai Lama. Like this, the one dude that was talking to me and Chris, he started coming at me a little crazy. And so I flexed a little bit, backed him up, and say, this is not what I do, but just check yourself. Because I told him, I said something like, look, I ran my whole history of my past, my accomplishments, and what I'm doing, and said, before you speak to me like a Negro on the streets, ask about who the fuck you talking to first. Now we here, let's get back to the conversation. Because he was getting really out of control. So I backed that shark up, my ego roared, I put the ego, calm the fuck down, put it back in my pocket. Now I'm gonna go back to, hey, brother, I love you. That's a good example. Right? And because I love you, I'm not necessarily right, you're not necessarily right. And if we're speaking from a space, and I went into his whole love, his value, how I see him valuable to society, how I see him having a great purpose, and how I could be wrong and he could be right. That's not my focus here. So I went back to a full love focused offensive position. But when he was just getting out of control, I roared in my defensive space. You guys get where I'm going with this? But I didn't live in the defensive space and just go back and forth, back and forth, and then I'm like, fuck you, well, fuck you, and then we hang up. You see where I'm going with this? So defense has its space, but ego has its space, but it only fit at certain times for certain things, and then get the fuck back to the offense.
That's a good example.
Can you clarify? There's conversation about needing clarity around, are we expected to avoid situations in a sense to control specific outcomes?
You say avoid situations?
Avoidance
is defense. So all forms of avoidance is defense. No, you don't avoid.
No.
We're not saying to avoid anything. We're saying process it, but you have a choice on how you process it. And the end result of how you process it is going to impact how you feel and how you move through it and how effective you are navigating and how much damage you take. See, if I stay defensive, I got to give up a lot to win that battle. And I got to take some blows to win that battle. And I got to take some losses to win that battle. And quite often with all those losses, I never can thrive. In order for me to thrive, I got to learn to go through these battles in a winning position. I told a group of black men and black women professionals last night, their whole presentation was wrong. It was a horrible approach because at the end of the day, you were just trying to validate yourself because you don't feel like you're good enough. And at the end of the day, because you don't feel like you're good enough, you are clogging the listeners with too much noise, validating yourself. But the way I spoke was just so much love and embracing them and also reminding them they're perfect. I didn't say there's something wrong with you. You need to fix your dumb ass. I say, you're perfect. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, let's say I get my cousin who's just really fucking up these bad space. Hey, man, what the fuck wrong with you? Sit your dumb ass down. Why did I do that? It's a shock value for him. But I can't stay there with him for long. Because that's not how I move. I'm only using shock to get in there. I can literally talk to him like that, pick up the phone, go straight to office. He's like, no, I thought you was in defense. I'm only in defense because this dude is blinded, is almost hypnotically fucked up. Right? It's like, we get this idea that sometimes you have to give people, I was telling Mama Linda the other day, I said, Mama Linda, one of the reasons we cuss in this class, because people can't handle it if we just give them straight facts and information. And we made it real clean. You know why? Because most people in this class are blocking. They're in defense mode. So when we say, what the fuck wrong with you? Your defense go,
I don't cuss anymore, Mama Linda. I don't.
Motherfucking lie. But anyway, so
Please come back.
And then your brain perks up because that's a language you like to hear in your defense mode, right? That's why hip hop, a lot of shit we listen, we're in such defense mode, we like defense shit.
We love this. We love it.
So when the defense hits us, what are they talking about now? And then we just pour a little bit of offense in there. Right? Where if I just came at you with just straight offense, I'd be like, yeah, y'all deep and shit, but this is kind of boring, bro. It's kind of like, it's cool and shit, but y'all be chap. I mean, what y'all gonna do about this shit over here?
Hey, most of the things that we use for entertainment is things that trigger our fight or flight. Fight, flight, freeze, or sexuality. Period. That's your entertainment. It is all on defense, below the line shit. Think about that. Now think about it from an entrepreneur's perspective. If you getting flat lines across the board in terms of your engagement, and you ain't playing in them spaces. So I think, as an entrepreneur, you want all the smoke. You want the smoke. Anywhere there's smoke, somebody coming for you, somebody got some shit to say to you, they want to talk to you, you want all the smoke. However, approach the smoke above the line. Approach the smoke above the line. So then you sit down and you're not defensive. You got it in your pocket, but the whole space is, how can we win? What's my winning play? What's the winning play? Here, let me play this card. Oh, they playing that one. And you just engage and you pull your tools out. And if shit is happening the way, you might have to do that. Man, shut the fuck up. I love you though. But
I'm not even lying. I do it all the time.
And go just to
When
say,
it's
man,
necessary.
here's my capacity. I'll go here. but I don't want to.
There's no interest in there.
And that's weak to me. Like that, if I have to go there, I feel like I kind of
Perfect
failed.
word. Perfect word.
Because it's kind of weak. It's like the lowest form of tools that I got. So let's get to this. Like that, and I'm not even fully at this level yet. I'm just starting to peak in. Like I'm just starting to see the light of it based on just current situations I'm in, and I can't wait to get all the way there. So. But in order to get there, you got to approach the smoke. You can't avoid the smoke because avoiding is the actual flight part. You're flighting, you're running, and it's not a bear. It's just a situation. Two humans, after it's over, they're not gonna kill each other. It's not a big deal.
Matter of fact, if you guys ever pay attention, remember 2 years ago I said, if you gave me a choice between Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, I'd take Elijah every time because Elijah was more offensive. Malcolm X was all defensive. They say he was moving towards offense, and that's implied, but he was defensively focused, right? And I honestly believe that if Malcolm wasn't defensive, they could have fixed that relationship. Now, I think they may both became defensive and then this fractured to get them together. But ultimately, if you want to build something, you cannot. I think that's why Farrakhan toned down his defensiveness and started to rise. If you watched Farrakhan from the 90s, he was fire in the 90s. He had a tongue that was chopping down trees in the 90s, right? And I was defensive, and I loved me some Farrakhan. And I don't know his why. He made it on purpose. I'm not trying to speak about his why. I'm saying if you listen to Farrakhan any time recently in the last 20 years or 15 years, that man's been hella offensive, extremely offensive. And even like he focused on what he loves over calling somebody a devil. It's not saying that he can't go there, but he's majority offensive. You just and I'm not trying to make an argument for Farrakhan and not for Farrakhan. That's not a religious course, right? Just like I say about Christianity, it's not a religious course. I want you guys just to kind of see a bigger picture, right? What made me love Martin was I saw the offense he was playing, right? And so because offense moves freaking further. I mean, if you have to really be honest about it, the offense of Martin is carrying a lot further than the defense of Malcolm. Even though I think there was truth to his defense, you just can't sit in defense that much. You got to know how to balance that dance, right? And at some point, what do we do? And not what we should. If I say, you know what y'all should do, that's still defensive. As opposed to, hey, let's talk about some different methods based upon where you are on how we can move forward. That's offensive. You guys get where I'm going with this? And so we use defensive in this class sometimes because we know the people we're talking to are defensive. If we go pure offense, you guys won't even understand us. It just seems like, what are you guys talking about? That don't even make no fucking sense. The reason when we go on me and Mashama go on this retreat once a year, but we just break away from everybody. Court's been on that retreat with us. I think Dave Max came when he first came to class. He flew in like, I'm gonna hang with y'all. Right. We're in our offensive space. We chilling, we talking, we sharing, we're exploring ideas, we're processing, we're looking at what are the solutions, how do we move forward, how do we heal, how do we become more curious, let's explore different ideas. Nobody's been like, man, shut your dumb ass idea up, right? Like we're just in this full offensive space. The reason we don't let a lot of people go with us to that space, because we know a lot of people carry a lot of defense focus. At the retreat, I don't mind dealing with that, because that's what I'm here for, is to help you access. But when we have our private growth time, we create a very offensive focused environment. Because that's how we come back with all these innovative ideas and our new truths and new motivation to have great impact in our businesses. You guys get that? I know this, like, don't beat yourself up if you don't completely get it right now. I'm willing to hold your hand and help you get it. Mm-hmm. This is a lot of data. Mm-hmm. But this will give you higher insights on the why and how things are moving and the stuff you're learning in class and why are we learning these lessons. If you go back and read E-Myth and understand offensive versus defense, now it seems simple. But if you're a defensive mindset, his shit feels like, I would have never thought about that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When you're in offense, new ideas, those type of ideas are flowing all the time because you'll see them. But when you're defense, you can't even see them. They could be right in front of you. Somebody could be displaying it right next to you. You'd be like, why is he acting? I wouldn't do that shit. You can't see people who are strategy heavy because you're too defensive to value what they're doing. So it's just noise to you. Just how, like, you know, when you buy a new car, and if you don't have that car could have passed you every day as noise. But when you have that car, you have interest in it now you see them everywhere. That's the same thing happens when you learn to shift from defense to offense. Strategies are everywhere. I don't own them. I just have a different way of seeing the world. So to those who are defensive, I seem brilliant. No, I just have a different mindset. I really am not brilliant at all. I'm just as normal as the next person. It's just that I practice a lot and I see different.
Amen, bro.
But I'm not like, oh, I have a special gift. This big head is just normal.
Yeah, you can't win games. You can't win a game with just defense. 'Cause who's gonna score? Somebody got to be a scorer. Now you need defense to prevent the other team from scoring, but you got to be a scoring team, high scoring team. I only know one time in history where the number one defensive team beat the number one offensive team. I only know one Super Bowl. Because if you're in the rhythm of offense, it's hard to beat somebody, especially if they get in rhythm and they get hot. It's hard because now it stops even becoming about logic. It becomes about this energy and the hypeness of, man, first down, another first down. Now your team's getting defeated. They're feeling defeated. Oh, another, 10 yards. Then over time, the energy shifts. Same. If you're in a rhythm of offense, that means you're always thinking about any situation. That, man, you know, people talk about that fashion show was riddled with bullshit. It shouldn't have happened like 5, 6, 7 times, literally. But we just go off it, offense, because when you're in there, it's just hard to be outside of it. It's hard to be in a different rhythm. So it's not. This is deep shit. This is what shifts you, like in terms of literally seeing the world different. Like difference between being in the ocean and being on land.
I mean, imagine if every time you had a problem, oh, there's so much, oh, this makes me so mad. Oh, I can't believe this happened. He can't make it past a month. He has to be able to go off and be like, oh, okay, next. Okay, well, this happened. Well, this could be opportunity. You just take this opportunity over here. And he's just pivoting. But one thing as he's pivoting, he's still moving the same way forward. He's doing a little swag. He's swaying a little bit, but he's moving forward. Some of you guys are sinking backwards, going forward, going back, sitting in your stuff, wallowing, going in circles. And then a year passed, you're like, no, I ain't went nowhere. Yeah, because you're stuck in defense. Next week, we're going to talk about the triangle drama, which is defensive. And we're going to go it's going to go another layer into this defense thinking. And I'm going to give you examples of the triangle drama. And we're going to talk about that for a minute. And we go into triangle drama, you guys going to see, oh, this shit is really cold-blooded. It's going to get worse. We just hit the surface. Now we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper. But let's hit a couple slides before we go on. We have I ain't going to call him the beautiful Jasadi because I just don't see him like that. That's my partner. He's got some beautiful shoes on. All right, so Jasadi's in the house, and he's going to take over the wonderful Shabisha. Shabisha's at home, letting COVID. Now you're quarantined for only 7 days now. So, so she started on Friday, so she'll be back in the game. She'll be back here next week, I'm sure. But we're going to substitute her with the amazing, smooth-talking, cool brother on the sideline. Jasadi, go for it.
Hey, how y'all doing? Nah. So we have.
Oh, you went to.
Oh, you okay? So, you went to college? That doesn't mean the world is yours by right, but it was the Ivy League. Well, people are still going to treat you poorly, and they will still yell at you. You have $1 million, or you have $1 million or a wall full of awards. That doesn't mean everything in the new field you're trying to tackle.
So, let me say this real quick. when you have an ego, or you've been around some form of greatness, you automatically assume that when you get in the real world, you are deserve to be treated great. You don't. This is a common mistake. It's an illusion. It's a cold-blooded illusion, and it works in corporate America because no one really challenges you. If you say I have a PhD in marketing and I want to come work for your company, you probably don't get a great offer. The reality is that if you decide to become an entrepreneur, you have a PhD in marketing, means nothing to us.
Nothing.
You may come in the game and you're a D plus or D minus. Right. But if you think you're an A and then you wonder why, oh, they not messing with me because they don't like me because I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm not tall, I'm not young, a certain way I speak. And that job gave you that false sense that all your flaws is good because they couldn't really find anybody to replace you. And at this point, you had a PhD, so they helped them make some money and validate the service they were providing. Then you're under this delusion that college means something. Mashama said it best. He said, man, college is easy. All you have to do is comply, and you'll get a basic. It's like, look, yeah, maybe a PhD is not as easy. Maybe writing a master's thesis is not as easy. But you can get your bachelor's degree pretty relatively. And guess what? You can come in with a C, and another person come in with an A into the outside world, it's the same bachelor's degree. So it's an illusion. And I know a lot of people who went to college and still can't think. They can pass some tests. They can remember some shit. They can formulate a process, but they can't think and process the information. And this is all races, all ages, and in all groups, right? It's not a racial thing. And so the biggest thing about our ego is the ego will tell us we are, even though we're not, which creates a greater separation between who we are and how we show up to the world. Next one.
All right. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how great your connections are, how much money you have.
Stop real quick. This one dude, remember that dude in Seattle told me, I don't need to learn anything about entrepreneurs because I hang out with them? Yeah. Yeah, his ego was on 89,000. Or, I tell you another thing I've seen with people with ego. Somebody will get a little bit of exposure on how to do something and say, Donna, can you pay me to do that? And I say, well, you can go out there with, Josati and learn. No, I already know. If I don't learn, if I go out there with them, how much you going to pay me?
Man, if you don't get your ass up out of here.
So I want y'all to understand this. Y'all want to be great, but y'all don't want to learn for free. Y'all want to learn by volunteering, but yet if you don't volunteer, you got to pay somebody. So if somebody gives you a volunteering option, they one-up you. But so many of y'all think by you doing something for free, they doing you wrong because you're operating from a space of defense. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start using this defense tactic really smooth for y'all. You can see how it's playing out all the time. Yeah. And so when you're in a space of defense, instead of you saying, I can go and pay for this, it's going to cost me $30,000 to learn this skill, or I can go hang out with this person and get that skill. Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're realizing this. Influencers are realizing this. They're realizing that, hey, I got 500,000, 2 million followers on whatever social media platform, and I'm still broke, or I don't have no money, or I ain't making no sales, even though I got all these followers. That's influence. That's connections. You're connected. Everybody knows you. You got a blue motherfucking little star next to your name, but you still broke. You still struggling financially, or you still aren't connected because you think connection and fame is what equals success. No, you still got to do the work. You still got to get out there and go get it and get your feet wet and get your hands dirty and learn the systems and learn how to build something.
And no, in Oakland, and I'm talking to folks I know in Oakland, and most black folks, this is for us, I would almost say black folks globally. Becoming popular and being successful are two different things.
Absolutely. So
many of us think because we're popular and everybody knows us, we're close to success. Or everybody likes us, success. But when anybody else people call on you to do what you say you can do, you underperform because you never practice because you think you're already there. You go.
When you want to do something big and important and meaningful, you will be subjected to treatment ranging from indifference to outright sabotage.
So real quick, when you first get into any group or any game, you are nobody. You are nobody. Don't get into this game thinking you are nobody. Because you're nobody, then there's people when you first get into the game who ain't gonna trust you just because you showed up because you got a degree or because you knew somebody. You got to know that that's part of the game. See, if you're in offense, you know, so when this person tries to shit on my stuff, that's offense. You know that's coming. Defense is like, she better not. I'm gonna let her know. I'm gonna go check that motherfucker in her office. I'm gonna go file a complaint. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up for 5 seconds. No. When you're playing offense, you're aware of the obstacles that's gonna be in front of you. And you're aware that you're gonna have to put your time in. You're aware that you're gonna have to serve the idea and the people around you for them to trust you to rise into your position, right? And then you earn the right to be there. But some of your ego just assume you can just skip the process of human natural group behavior and just rise to the top because you're idealist. And you're idealist because your ego says, I shouldn't have to do all that. I hung out with Jay-Z. I should be the next mixer on the group. Or I should be the next, I produced 4 albums. I should be the lead person. Maybe you shouldn't be the lead person. Maybe you suck. Maybe the process is what's going to make you a lead person. Because when you're down here, it's easy to assume that you're a leader. It's not until you get in the gang you realize 80% of your ideas are wrong. Because you have ideas of a theory, but you have no skin in the game. So as you get skin in the game, you got to get shitted on. But I got a PhD. I used to be the vice president of Kaiser. What are you talking about? You have no skin in the game. You suck. I talked to a brother the other day who was a big corporate dude, and he called me about some COVID stuff, and he sent me this dope-ass report. And I was like, yo, this report sucks, my man. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, first thing is you can't see the fragmentation of black people. As you make this comment, you automatically assume that we're just a mono group. And we're not mono. I said there's more differences, there's more similarities to poor white and poor black, and there's more differences between poor blacks and rich blacks. And if you can't see that fragmentation of different ideas and different beliefs, some of these ideas you're projecting are going to absolutely miss the mark, right? And he's like, I feel like I'm going to a high-level college course. Well, it's because his title made him think he has it. And of course, I threw a lot of terms and used a lot of behavior science examples to highlight how he was just absolutely missing the mark, right? But the point is that when I spoke to him, I saw what he did and did not know. I didn't go into like, this dude's, he's getting paid at least $500,000 a year. He know this. I don't know if I should even come to him with this. Fuck, no, this shit's wrong. So the thing with this also too is when you think that way, you're also intimidated by those ways. So you don't even move right. So if somebody says, I'm a vice president and you wrong, you'll shut your whole operation. Okay, yeah, he's the vice president said I shouldn't even be here. And then later on you realize he didn't know shit. So you can't even move in this world and know how to process good feedback and know how to see feedback and see opportunities and see, because you have this, your ego is distorting reality and how you connect and how things work, as opposed to if you're offensive, you have a healthy ego, you say, okay, if I want to grow, these are things I have to go through. These are things that are going to hurt. These are things that are going to make me scared. Okay, what can I do when I'm offline to get me ready for that battle? And then we start preparing myself so when this does happen, it's going to hurt, but I can get through it.
And how can I move with curiosity? There may be some things that you know of. And maybe there may be some things that you know. But if you always trying to defend the things you know and know of for the sake of all the other shit you don't know, it's going to damage your ramp.
God.
It's going to damage your ascension to where you want to be. So how about just approaching it all with curiosity? And if somebody says some shit to you that you already know, just still continue to shut the fuck up and be like, oh, okay, cool. So that they can continue filling you with the information and all the things that you don't know. Because that's how we get there. That's how we get there. And if you don't damage the relationship with the person that got the game for you by interrupting them every time, I know that. Then they gonna stop telling you, I'm done. Hey, Nana, can I talk to you for a minute? Hey, Court, can I hit you? Man, what we gonna talk about? I'm gonna get 3 seconds into the conversation and you're gonna shut down because you know the shit already. If you're not practicing it, you know of it. You don't know it. You know of it.
Count on it. In this scenario, ego is the absolute opposite of what is needed. Who can afford to be jerked around by impulses or believe that you're God's gift to humanity or too important to put up with anything you don't like? Those who have subdued their ego understand that it doesn't degrade you when others treat you poorly. It degrades them.
That's it right there. When somebody, remember, if everybody is an opportunity, go back to the concept of offensive thinking. Everybody is there for your growth. If you operate from that space, that's subduing your ego. Because then you're saying, if they treat me bad, one, you can always make those things work for you. I've had somebody snap on me and say, "Oh, my man, what's going on? You okay?" See, I can't ask if they're okay if I'm offended. And then the person would be like, "I'm sorry, man, I'm bad." Now they feel guilty, and now reciprocity kick in, they owe me a favor. I see what just happened? But you lost that favor because you snapped back. Right? But how can you implement strategy when you see it as they shitting on me? Ah! Who's shitting on you? What's their why? Have you ever asked about their why? Maybe this will make you even more closer to them. Maybe this will allow you to, look, if I show up a certain kind of way and rise above you in your face, I can change my relationship to you. If I'm taking radical responsibility, what role have I played to put myself in that position? Everybody's a possible ally to you. I don't want it, okay, so let me help you out. When you come talk to me, if you want to talk to each other, do that defensive talk, fine. But by the time you approach me, I want you to always say, this is what I think I'm doing to create this situation, not this situation is happening to me. Yeah, you guys get that? So y'all can do all that shit amongst yourself, fuck it, I'll let you do it. But just do me a favor when you come to me, this is what I am creating and this is what I have to do with it. Because remember I told you guys a long time ago, if you're arguing with your significant other, this happened to me one time we was at a retreat. And there was a couple at the retreat, and the guy came to me and said, "You know what my woman is doing?" I said, "Partner, who in the fuck you think I am? I ain't about to sit up here and talk about your woman. If anybody I want to talk about is you, we can talk about what you doing and I can help you. But you're not about to put me in this compromising ass, punk ass role where I'm gonna sit here and insult your woman to your face that you'll be making love to tonight, and then tomorrow y'all looking at me some kind of weird way. I'm not gonna let you play this defensive game and then compromise me. So if you need my help for you, brother, we could talk about how I can help you and what you did wrong. But if you say she did anything wrong, I'm gonna tune out. Because it might be true, but I don't give a shit. You chose her. So we might need to talk about your choices. But what we're not going to do is waste any of our human time. Oh, she evil. Oh, she needs, you probably should get counseling. That's all defensive. That doesn't mean anything. That's going to waste all my day and time. So if you ever come to me, you'll see I will let you get it out. This happened. They did this to me. This was wrong. This was fucked up. My kids this. My husband this. The dog didn't do this. The cat fucking flies was in my house. And when you get through, I'll be like, okay, so what you going to do about it? What I just said to you is, all that shit you said to me was you trying to make your ego feel good. What you gonna do about it? Let's do one more slide, we're going home.
Up ahead, there will be slights, dismissals, little fuck yous, one-sided compromises. You'll get yelled at, you'll have to work behind the scenes to salvage what should have been easy. All this will make you angry. This will make you want to fight back. This will make you want to say, I'm better than this. I deserve more.
Hey, if you don't,
He grabbed the mic so fast. Man, I've got some shit to say about this one.
motherfucker. Hey, if you don't ever feel these feelings, you're not in the game. The beauty of entrepreneurship is that you get to touch all these feelings. Because it's going to happen. You can't expect this to be like this yellow brick road of happiness and
Hell to
acceptance.
no.
You're going to because you're interacting with other humans with all different backgrounds and emotions and their own assumptions and reasonings, and they may just not like you because they don't like you. And if you're in such an acceptance mode or your ego's high, you'll spend so much energy just trying to get them to like you or trying to find out why. And like, fuck that. You got shit to do. So you got to be able to maneuver around to the point to where everything is on my path or an obstacle. It's not even emotional. It's you in my fucking way. Well, what are my options? And pull out my toolbox. I can go through you, around you, over you, under you. What's the fastest way? Oh, let me go around you. Like, that's it. And so if you move like that, instead of like, well, why was that there? Well, how come they didn't like me? Well, why? Like, fuck that. Like, because they, them. Like, maybe they a hater because their mama and daddy was a hater, and they had sex, and they had that baby, and that baby it was stuck being a hater. It grew up one. Who knows? I don't know. But like our energy and time, we're not going to waste the bandwidth on it. So we got to move, and shit's going to be upside down sometimes. Or you're going to think, fuck, like, why is this taking so much energy when it should be quick? Or that's how it goes. Now, if your emotions are in a space to where you working towards getting to the space where we're at the slides above, then you moving in the space of curiosity. How can I improve that? What can I do to get better? Maybe I thought I was raw, but maybe I'm really not that raw. Maybe I thought I was dope, but really I'm not that dope, hindsight. So I got work to do. That's okay, because it's all learning. That obstacle, that person who is saying fuck you or providing some kind of resistance to you, that person is helping you become stronger. So it's almost you want to be glad that it happened because it made you a better human. So you move with that space, you're moving like an athlete, like a bodybuilder. Any resistance is good for you because it's going to build you more muscle.
So let me take a different angle. Everything he says 4,000 times, another 10,000 times, another 100,000% beyond truth. Now let's imagine yourself being offensive and people are yelling at you. Imagine you being offensive, and behind the scenes, people are sabotaging you. You don't actually realize that's your super shield. That's your Captain America shield. Offense is how you're going to navigate through all those natural obstacles and actually still come out on a win. Defense is how those obstacles can terminate you. Let me share a story with you. This is my conclusion. If you have anything you want to conclude, just do another one of those. I like that. but let's just say this. If you guys haven't watched Netflix, they talk about tyrants and how they rose and how they came into existence. Here's the through theme that maybe you guys don't see. If you go back and watch it now, they came in the game being defensive about what was wrong with the world, right? Hitler, all of them. This is what's wrong with the world. But when they rose in power, they were now the new enemy, right? So they didn't know how to go to offense. They used defense to try to stay in power, which means destruction, death and destruction. If those individuals was playing defense and had an offense method, they would have never been Hitler, Idi Amin, or any of the Mao, any of those people that killed many people. Is because they try to rule from a space of defense. If you guys don't see how cold this offense-defense game is, it's directly connected to your ego. So as we're going through this ego book and you're reading this stuff, I want it to go deeper in its saturation. I want you guys to see, oh shit, he's teaching us how to lead. He's teaching us the long story, it's not just a short play, I'm teaching you the long play. You will get more being like Jesus than you will get like being like somebody in a defensive space. Jesus really was an offensive symbol in our life. Whether you believe him or not, I'm not going to have that conversation. This is not that class. But if you just take Jesus as a story, and please Christians don't get offended by this because He's real, and that's good enough for me. But let's just take it as a story. That's a story of a man moving through the world from a space of offense. And he's telling you the world has got all these blessings for walking through in your offense. For those of you who pay attention to the world around you, those who move in offense, like the most successful businesses that have like changed our life that we celebrate, move in offense. The companies that fall harshly, or you see them going down burning really nasty, it's defense. Even when you hear about these, like the white dude who was raping, molesting everybody, all right? That's defensive shit. Offensive, you move it, you see, you talk, you touch. That's why a lot of hip hop groups and music groups don't work when they come up, because everybody in the room defensive. You're not going to make it. You see a restaurant, a black restaurant, it starts off offensive, it slowly becomes defensive. Right? You see a clothing store. Remember I posted an article a long time ago when the lady brought the jewelry back, and she wrote a hard, long-ass, 3-paragraph letter. Remember I posted we had a Facebook group, and she had this whole defensive argument of why she felt she didn't have to give the lady her money back because she had it too long. She did it. You know, the lady had a good-ass explanation. And I promise you, she will never be as large as H&M or anything even halfway there, because she's defending herself against the customer. What if she went offensive with the customer? How can you serve if you're defensive? How can you really serve? You have to trust the process of being offensive. And we're not saying, let somebody walk into the bathroom when you're naked and talk offensive. That's defensive moment. We're saying when you move through this world, can you make decisions with offensive focus, and then watch how human beings, through the rules of reciprocity, return the offense to you. But when you move through this world with defense, you're literally stealing from people, and then you turn around asking people to give you something.
I want to talk about Jesus for a second. I mean, I love that. I think that's dope. I think it's a good example of offense, and it's a well-rounded example for Chelsea, because as offensive as Jesus was, there was like 2 or 3 moments where he wrecked some shit. He walked into church and was like, "This ain't it," and tore that shit up. Am I lying or am I not? You know what I'm saying? Like, as offensive as he was, turned the other cheek. He was about to get killed and told his homie, "Don't pull that sword out." All that. But then at moments, he tore some shit up. Am I lying? Am I not? Like, that's real. And then he had a breakdown night before the night where he was talking to God like, "Man, okay, you could pass this if you want, like, only if you want to." Like, that's exactly what this is talking about, where like you're gonna have moments where you're gonna like, "Damn, is it?" Like, stressed out, or man, you questioning shit. I love that part in the Bible, because it showed that's real. Even in the offensive space, you get to play, like, that happens. And as entrepreneurs, it's no way we can be like turned around in this world all this time. Every day is like a journey and adventure, and we don't have them moments. So this was like hella dope. This was hella dope.
Hey, y'all have a good night. Danielle, name this class Offense and Defense. Those of you who didn't take this, those of you who weren't here tonight, make sure they tune into this, because this helps them understand the world they live in right now. You live in a world right now where defense is over-amplified, and it got us fucked up. So with that being said, we out. Oh, okay. Wait, we out.
Yeah.